Conversations with King. Pardon the tardiness. It was my fault. I was going through some emotional relationship issues, and Kim calmed me down, and she helped me realize that I was totally at fault. You feel me? And she made me realize at the end of the day, compromise is a big key to relationships. And I'm shout out to Kim. She really is a real life coach, up-leveled approach to living your life the best way, because I was going through a nervous breakdown. Please get everybody in the room today. Today's going to be one of the best shows ever, because we're going to talk about something that really affects relationships in a whole. Shout out to everybody that came out tonight. I appreciate you. Shout out to Terry. Shout out to April Carter. Shout out to all the moderators from Loverboy Lenski, who's the captain of the ship. Chris, what's rocking? Queen Nita, we appreciate you. Wanda, we see you. We still know you the mother of all. We want to say appreciate you. For everybody else, please hurry up, get in the room, because today we're going to talk about something that's going to make a lot of people feel uneasy, and very, very uneasy. I want to shout out to Nikki. Shout out to Nikki. Please go and check out that clip she had about me, which is a very sensitive topic about what type of woman I like. Do I even like black women? And I know I do, but it was touched on in her interview. And I hope you like my answer. And if you don't, it doesn't matter, because you're not me. You don't live my life. I'm grateful for it. But I do love black women. But I wish they loved me. And I think black is a diaspora. So you could be one drop of black and you're black. So I love black women. I love brown skin women, dark skin women. I like light skin women. But, whoever loves me, that's who I gravitate to. So please go into her page and check her out. And shout her out. Shout out to Mr. O. Mr. O and have had the best YouTube channel on ever. And that channel is called Players Perspectives on Mr. O Just Living. So please go and support that show, Play Perspective, on the channel, Mr. O Just Living. So I corrected myself. Also, shout out to Han and her beautiful family. Shout out to the Dean family. Shout out to Mr. Dean, as we know as Willie, Mrs. Dean, as we know as Han, and their beautiful children, Suhan, Celine, and Jihan. Shout out to all of them. I appreciate them for always supporting. And always, it's good to have a support group and a community that helps you become a better person. Because I don't know everything. I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to be an upstanding citizen and an upstanding man. Hopefully one day become an upstanding husband. I thought I would be a husband in a year, but after careful consideration, a year and 2 months. Can I get 2 months? A year and 2 months? Yeah, I'll be a year and 2 months. We just got to figure things out, If not, it is what it is. With that being said, shout out to everybody that's tuning in right now. We need some more likes. I don't know what's going on, but we actually got enough likes. We got enough likes. So we're going to do while you get people in the room, I'm going to do the little advertisement thing I always do, real quick, sponsorship. And when I do that, we're going to have this tough discussion. This is the discussion that we need to have as couples, as black people, brown people, white people, Asian people, whatever, because this is a discussion that people wait too long to have, and then they break up because of it. And I'm having that discussion now with people in my life, but I'm having it in a very ambiguous way. But sometimes you have to have that straight up discussion. What's your bank account looking like? What's going on? Are you paying your phone bill on time? What's going on? What's about to cut off? Let me know. How are we going to file taxes? Are we going to do marriage jointly? Are we going to do head of household? Are we going to do single? Are we going to do marriage separately? What are we doing? See, I talked to a couple of my friends who got their master's in accounting from BC. Shout out to Gina. And we talked about taxation, and she told me horror stories about how money destroys relationships. This is going to be a show, I'm telling you. So all the dudes out there, I'm telling you now, if you're frauding and you lying to your woman about getting bread and you're not getting bread, don't watch this show. But if you watch it, you probably could tell some better lies. So you might have to. Matter of fact, stay, because then you can work on your lies and make it better. Because we're going to reveal everything in regards to what women should be looking for in regards to finance within relationships before they start relationships and when they're in a relationship. And we're going to do it the way Kim and I always do it, from an instructional standpoint, workshop way, but it's going to be fly. because we're going to put our little twist to it. Brother Noomsi, I'm still waiting for that list, but please get back at me. But before we do this, let me drop this little sponsorship. But Kim, can you introduce yourself so let everybody know how amazing you are and how we plan on. Right.
Hey y'all, what's up, Garden? Happy Monday. I am Kim with the Upleveled Approach. And on my channel, the Upleveled Approach, I focus on having a myriad of different types of conversations with different people. And the viewpoint behind these conversations is to find the upleveled approach to healing ourselves, healing our lives, making good decisions, healing the community, all that good stuff. So a lot of it is some of the topics that we're kind of talking about in Black YouTube, but just an up-leveled way to kind of handle ourselves and our lives. So that's it. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for taking time out to, come and join us. I appreciate you. Hold on. Let me get to the sponsorship. I hope y'all appreciate it like I appreciate it. Shout out to Terry for doing the sponsorship for us. We appreciate you. First and foremost, please, if you haven't, please go and do it. Get Ripple. Use my discount, 50% discount, the Ripple King. They sponsor us. We love them. I have mine. You should get yours. 0% nicotine, no THC. Just looks cool and good for aromatherapy, all different types of flavors. So go and support Ripple. I beg of you. It's something that you need to really, really support, because if they supporting Black channels like us, then we should support them. Yeah, a London-based company, and I appreciate everybody that is rocking with them. Also, for those who don't know, I have a book called Love and Life Through the Eyes of Travel. You can find it on BookBaby, Apple iBooks, Amazon, Kindle. It's a book of 60 affirmations. It's on, and it's basically the Bible of romance and the Rosetta Stone of relationships. That's what I say. I big it up a lot. It's dope. It's a dope book, so please go and support. I appreciate you. For those who don't, I still love you anyway. We still getting money out here anyway, regardless. Let me stop. But please go and support. Also, shout out to my brother's book, Willie Dean's book, Love. This is a guy that loves and cherishes children and his wife wholeheartedly, and he wrote a children's book. He has a couple other books coming out. You can get on Amazon. Please go and support his book. He's a real family man. He's like, outside of my father, he's the only man I know that truly represents manhood within relationships and fatherhood. Please go and check him out and check that book out. A real man that most people should try to emulate, especially if you're married and have children. Shout out Terry Mera. I just want to say, Terry Mera, you are appreciated. Thank you so much for always designing stuff on our page. You do a lot for the channel, and we appreciate you. From just the logo, the thumbnails, to other stuff. We got a fly gear line coming out. This is just the merchandise for the show. This is just just to show love. But our other stuff is going to be hopefully hit like boutique stores and stuff soon. But shout out to Terry Mera, and that's it. Terry, don't be mad at me because I didn't use the new one that shows the join the exclusive membership court and the stuff with the apparel. I apologize because today I had a relationship issue, but I adore that woman, so that's why I had to talk to another powerful woman to figure out what I'm doing wrong, because I learned that being a husband or trying to be a husband or trying to be a man is a very giving job. So I gotta find out what I did wrong. You know what I mean? I've been in this earth for 41 years, about to be 42 in March. And you've been doing it on your own. It's not just about you. You feel me? And hopefully that person understands too, it's not just about her, because she ain't off the hook either. She ain't do anything either, but all love for her, and I appreciate her for having patience. And to all the women that love me, I'm getting married in a year and 2 months. So that's it. I don't know what to tell y'all. Y'all gotta get online. You can have fun and everything, but I got to Booski for permission. I'm joking. Shout out to Holden Cofield. What's up to you? Shout out to Missy T. We appreciate you. We adore you. Shout out to everybody. Get everybody in the room. It's gonna be a show to remember. and we're going to talk about real issues. So I want to start off first, if you don't mind, Kim, and talk about what the conversation I had with my friend Gina, who got her master's in accounting. She is an accountant at a firm, and she represents a lot of people and families in front of the IRS when things don't go too right. And while she said she couldn't make the show today, she had other obligations. She gave me that permission to read some of the things. I don't know if you're gonna be happy me reading this, people, because it's not a plus for people to get married. So she says, oh my gosh, because I asked her, would you mind doing? She says, oh my gosh, you know I love you. I love the topic. I'm camera shy at the moment, so I can't do it, but here's a couple of things I want you to relate to everybody. I have seen a lot of workings in the tax office, couples crying, fighting, come tax time because other spouse finds out that the spouse hasn't any tax paid all year and has back child support payments. Couples no longer together, but they stay married because the house is in both their names and neither want to sell. Wow. And they both want to claim the mortgage interest on their taxes and refuse to agree on anything. Even couples that are divorced, they fight over who gets to claim the children for taxes. Too much drama, this is why I'm not fond of marriage. I don't really trust others to file jointly. The only other option in filing is filing separately. With that status, there's no tax benefits. It's the worst. I say don't mix romance with finance because folks can change up real quick when it comes to money. This is an accountant. She's been doing this for like 20 years. I was telling you, like, it's the worst thing when it comes to taxes and relationships because people switch up on you. And she says she has couples that come in that have a wonderful marriage, but she says when it's bad, it's bad. Damn, Kim, you said that like you should get her with a lot of conviction.
Because
She said it's bad. She said it's bad. And I just spoke to a friend today. He's doing what him and his wife together collectively make 400, close to 500.
Okay.
And they file separately. Right? Okay. But they love each other. You would think that if you marry, everything is joint, and that's not the case.
No, it doesn't have to be. I think that's a misconception and a rumor.
Right. So this is the thing. And I think that those who push the fact that they want you to combine assets typically are the ones that don't have as much assets as you. So be very mindful of those who want you to get married and combine your assets because no. She said there was Gina also mentioned there was a couple of a black woman who made way more money than her husband. They filed separately because she felt that her husband was doing stuff that was nefarious in his taxes. So she didn't want to be involved, but they loved each other. I'm talking about smooches, hugs, public display of affection. Shout out to Il Doctor. What's popping? So with that being said, we're going to have this hard discussion today. And if you have somebody in your life that you don't want to talk about money with, you don't have to. We're going to do the talking for you. And we're going to break it down. And I'm going to be very candid about me, right? Because I know a lot of people think I'm some rich African scammer that has like $20 million in a hidden account in the Cayman Islands.
You don't? Dang.
But no, I'm not a rich African scammer, right? I don't do that, right? Not anymore. Peace to Darrell. Peace to Darrell. I did my time. I throw my $4 million. I'm out. I'm good, right? Not to joke around with that because I did take money from an institution and that was wrong. So I don't want to promote that. It was just a joke. I don't want to buy right. So with that being said, let us begin. And if anybody has anything to say, we have the invite. You can come up after we finish talking about it. And we want to have this hard discussion, right? And And sometimes it's not about the money. It's
Mm-hmm.
about the temperament.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the temperament, right? How do you go about solving money issues? That's what separates people. You feel me? You got some people that spenders, you got some people that savers. You know what I mean? Shout out to Knowledge and Relationships. We mess with you. Please go and check out their page as well. So let me start right now. Get everybody in the room, because if you have issues with money with your lover, have them sit next to you. Get a pen and paper, because today we're going to learn something. And if we don't learn something, I'm sorry, bro. She ain't the one for you, and he ain't the one for you either. I'm gonna be honest with you. All right. So let's start right now. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, we're gonna start with this one. Let's start with this, Greta. Tell me when you're ready. Can everybody see it? Can you see it?
We can see it well. Yes.
10 financial warning signs to watch out for when you're in a relationship. This is before you're married. Like, you're in a relationship. So we're trying to figure out if we want to even pursue a relationship with the significant other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what we're going to do. First one, while you're dating somebody, refuses to split money on outings. Kim, is that a red signal? I don't know if that's a red signal. What do you think?
Okay. Again, I always ask, are we talking about dating or relationship? And the title says relationship. So yes, that is a red flag. If we are in relation together, if we are relating, and you never want to split money or on outings, or we don't switch off, or you pay a lot and then I pay a lot, then yeah, that's definitely a red flag.
Red flag.
For sure.
What do you mean when you say split money on outings? Like, what does that mean? Like, we go half and half on everything? That's a red flag?
So that's tedious to me. I think you can kind of more so get in a groove with someone. And I mean, if you are in a relationship and you guys are planning to be serious, then there might be times of the month where their money might be a little bit low, or yours might, or you guys might be saving for something individually or collectively. So just kind of knowing a lot about that person's financial situation. I mean, I don't want it to be like, okay, we go out on Friday, I pay, or we go out on Saturday, you pay, or we're going to split it or whatever. That just gets real tedious. It should be a little bit more organic. And I think each person should know if they have disposable money. And if they don't, then we just stay home.
Right. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this is a subject that women look at heavily.
Yeah.
And men, we don't talk about this because we come from positions of being a provider. Mm-hmm. But I think when the roles are switched, like we're seeing now, women tend to feel that a man who's unwilling to split the money, even though he makes more or makes less, is considered a freeloader.
Well, perhaps if he makes less, it could be considered that he's a freeloader. To me, it just means that there's a lack of reciprocity. So I mean, realistically, two people are maybe not going to make the same amount, right? But are we still putting forth the effort mm-hmm. to show one another a good time? Are we putting forth the effort to be able to afford the types of things that we want to do? And are we compromising and having conversations on what we can and cannot afford to do? But yeah, it does get a little freeloader-ish. Like if I'm always paying and always planning and always doing things and all you're doing is showing up, like it just doesn't seem like you're bringing as much energy to the situation as I am. And that's problematic.
That's extremely problematic. Number 2, lies about money. Do you consider lying a form of financial infidelity?
Absolutely. And it's a lack of integrity. And it means that we probably shouldn't be together, because that lying about money that you are talking about now is very similar to the people who are not paying taxes and doing all these other things, and it later affects their spouse. So yeah, lying about money is just an ultimate red flag.
I mean, okay. So when people lie about money, typically they are ashamed. Mm-hmm. They feel like they will lose control or positioning within the relationship. Mm-hmm. How important is how important is money in regards to posturing in a relationship? Like, who has power, who doesn't have power?
Yeah, I mean, I do think finances definitely is something that can structure the power dynamic. And I mean, generally speaking, the person who has the money kind of makes the decisions because it's like this. I mean, if they are deciding to do something, then more times than not, they are saying, I can financially, take the bulk of whatever financial outcomes or repercussions this might have. So yeah, money definitely plays in the power dynamic for sure. But I mean, this is off topic, but I mean, I think gender, does as well, and it could go either way. So it's just kind of one of those components of the power dynamic, I think.
Let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
Is hiding a stash from your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend lying about money?
So that's a good question.
Because women are taught nowadays to keep
Yeah.
that. It
Yeah.
might break up. You might not be together. Stash and cut. So is
Well,
that lying about money?
it is because I mean, you're not telling the person. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be a secret. Yeah, I do have something else on the side. Like, I personally don't think that every couple needs to combine their money. I don't think that's a requirement at all whatsoever. So if our money already isn't combined and I have money off to the side, then I mean, it shouldn't be a big deal. I mean, I wouldn't hide it. I just say, hey, I do have another savings account, or I do have a brokerage account, or whatever the case. They don't have to know the amount unless you want to tell them. But I mean, by technicality, it is a lie. But I mean, you can have something on the side without hiding it. You can let them know, hey, I've got this extra money.
Okay. Okay. Because it's funny because we know that omission of the truth is a lie.
It is.
So we see Nikki saying no, it's not. It's a stash is different than hiding a stash.
Right.
So what is that? Having a stash and hiding a stash. What is the difference?
I mean, like I said, that person can know, yeah, I've got some money to the side. Yeah, I've got this savings account I had since I was 6, and I'm still putting money in it, right? That's way different than having an account and like you don't have the statement sent to your house to go to your mom's house and different little things like that. I think it's not necessarily what you do, it's kind of the way that you go about doing it as far as hiding money is concerned. Again, because I don't think that couples have to put all their money together and commingle everything. I think that that can get real frustrating and real tedious.
Okay, so with me, I think people. I don't think you should tell your partner everything about the money you have, because you shouldn't let your right hand know your left hand. But it's sad because I always wanted me and my partner to be one. Unfortunately, we live in a world where you don't know who someone is until the very last day. You don't.
That is true.
And that's what it's very scary for me, right? Sometimes how can you trust others when sometimes you can't even trust yourself?
Yeah, that's
right?
a very realistic thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just certain things that I'm a little bit reluctant to do with certain people and tell them everything, and it takes me to trust you. But I feel like women require more trust with money than men do.
Okay, so what do you mean by that?
Because a woman is not afraid to ask you what's going on. How much money do you have? How much do you make? How much are you going to? But we ask that, like, and that's what leads to the third one: refuses to talk about finances. Here goes the double standard, fellas. I didn't leave y'all out. I didn't forget about you, fellas. Women are reluctant to talk about their finances, but they're quick to ask us about ours. Women would. I don't know any man that does their due diligence when a woman tells her what she do and say, "Oh, let me see how much she makes," and is that transferable or is that reciprocal in other states? We don't do that.
Why?
I don't know. I don't even ask women how they make. I don't care. Why? It has nothing to do with me.
Why?
Right? Because we're not planning to buy anything right now together. When we get there,
okay.
Then maybe I need to have these hard conversations now.
You do. I think that you have
to act immediately.
You have to be proactive instead of reactive.
Okay, talk to me.
Okay, so you're really gambling, taking a larger gamble with not asking certain pertinent questions at the beginning and then asking them towards the middle or end when like you are thinking of really engaging with this person and really doing something and like really building with them. And if they have something to say that's super unfavorable, now your feelings are involved. So now it's almost too late. So I don't really see anything wrong with adults having preliminary conversations. And honestly, if you kind of know anything about the market that you live in, they'll tell you what they do, and you can figure out roundabout what they're making based on where they live and the type of company and the structure. I mean, that's kind of my jam. I can kind of figure things out. But I mean, it's, Google is free. And so you can kind of get a roundabout understanding of what it is. Now, what I'm also finding is that we are forsaking the conversation of being good with money versus making money, because there are a lot of people who make money who are not good with it, or who have a lot of debt and they're paying a lot of money out.
Yeah.
There's also people who make like I'm not going to say minimal, I'm going to say average or marginal amount of money that tend to do better because they are just more financially prudent. So I think instead of being like, oh, it's got to be six figures, it's like, okay, it's got to be six figures, comma, and what are they doing with their money and what are their spending habits?
Right. But see, all right, first of all, I want to shout out to Daryl. It says, I think there are women who won't mind telling you if they aren't ashamed of it. I agree with it.
Agreed.
If a woman makes more than you, she's like, she leads with that. Like, I make this. What do you make? But I actually think nowadays women don't care if you have good spending habits or not.
Well, that's dumb.
You know, let me explain why. And I'm going to explain why. If a woman sees a man that he's bringing this amount of money in, in their mind, they think, okay, at least I know you bring that money in. I know how to make sure you use that for the right things. Like, women, it's like, okay, how much do you bring in? Oh, shoot. I'll bring in 100, you bring 100, we got 200. But I know you spend money crazy. I'm going to make sure before I get committed to you, we're going to change these habits. You just said it's dumb.
Yeah, and that probably, I shouldn't have said that. It's unwise, okay? Because that's where that whole build a boo, build a bear, build you up kind of thing comes from.
Right.
I would rather find someone whose habits aligned with mine despite how much they made, versus finding a high earner and then trying to mold them into a person that has good financial fortitude. And people grow and change. But like, if my growth and trajectory and understanding finances is above theirs, and they're not going to be ready to do what I want to do, it just doesn't make any sense. Like,
Right.
I think you can, instead of building someone, and I'm not talking about encouraging or supporting, I'm talking about building. Instead of building someone, you can just find the person that has what you want already.
Whoa, I guess you're not outside, Kim, because it's pickings are slim. The pickings are, I guess you're not outside. But
I mean, I get it, but like, how frustrating is it for you to pour? And I've seen this personally, you to pour everything into someone and trying to make someone have a certain knowledge level, and they just don't get it. And so you're holding yourself back from doing things that you want to do, because you're sitting here trying to tell him how to spend his money, how to build his credit, and he's just not doing it.
You know, one thing I realized, the common mistake that some women make is that they want the man to come in perfect, and they're not perfect.
Right.
And if you met a man that thought perfect like you, he wouldn't be with you. Not you per se, I'm talking about in general. Like, so a lot of women are looking for this perfect man, but if he was a perfect man, he wouldn't be with you. Most of the successful relationships are relationships that start out not perfect, and they work together to get it as great as possible. They don't come in with the best behavior. Like, if people got married in their early 20s, which leads to divorce for most of the time, right? But when they get married, they make adjustments. They got student loans, this loan, houses, this, that. And they make these adjustments. Then when you get older, you get married when you're older, you got all these properties, these assets. Now you want to be with somebody. You like that person, but you got to make adjustments. And then you got to make these serious questions. So those who are not ready for this conversation, is about to get real spicy. So I suggest that everybody gets out the room if you got a weak stomach, a weak heart, and maybe a weak wallet.
Oh.
Number 4, has no assets despite years of work. That is a common thing. Nobody here is filthy rich. With the exception of the African scammer. How does that make you feel when you meet a man that's been working years, and he doesn't have any properties?
So I think because real estate is so important that we kind of put our attention there. But I mean, there are so many other things that can be assets. Instead of purchasing real estate, maybe a person has a real estate stock portfolio. Maybe they have just a regular stock portfolio. Maybe they've got a lump sum of money sitting somewhere, which in these times is not wise because of inflation, but you know what I mean. So I think that we have to really understand what an asset is, honestly, and to be truthful. If we're going to be very technical, if we're talking about real estate, it's not an asset until it's owned outright. It's a liability up until that point. If we want to be technical.
You can be technical, but if you want to talk about what you value, do you value equity or do you value payroll?
Correct.
Like, so I know. Here's a little tip for y'all. My father loves to buy buildings upright because he owns equity, complete ownership.
Mm-hmm.
But I know young men who are making way more money than my father that understand that business is when everybody's happy. The bank is happy, your tenants is happy, and the landlord is happy. So they will do long 30-year mortgages. So they're paying the bank back with their interest. The tenant gets to pay decent rent, and they get a payroll. They get money coming in.
Yep.
They get money coming in. So it's different ways to look at life, right? It depends what fits with you. And you got to make sure that your partner has the same type of mentality, right? Mm-hmm. But we as men don't feel like that. A woman could work a job for 15, 12, 13 years, and we're not going to say, why don't you have a house? We're not going to say, why don't you have this? We are not as critical. But I understand what Jen is saying. If men are providers, you shouldn't be as critical. But,
right.
But doesn't that show a lack of financial literacy and discipline?
It could. Again, we have to talk about what we find as an asset. I mean, buying a home is not always an asset to someone, or just might not fit their lifestyle. But like I said, what other assets do they have? Do they own some art? Do they have some type of savings or some type of stock portfolio or something else that can be seen as an asset? Even like your 401k or your IRA, Roth or traditional, those things could be assets. So it depends on what we are evaluating. But I think if you have someone who has, and again, life happens to people, right? People have to raise siblings, people have sick parents, people have, terrible 20s and have to rebound in their 30s. I get all of that. But I mean, I don't think it's a bad question to ask. And I'm very curious, even if men are providers, as to why they don't ask women. At least ask the question and open the door. Like you say, it doesn't matter, but like, why not? Like, I think that that's a common question that both men and women should ask one another.
Okay. Number 5. Borrows frequently from you or your parents. How do you feel about men that borrow? First of all, I don't even think you talk to men that borrow from you. But let's ask, how do you feel about that? And is that pretty girl privilege? Side note. Go ahead.
A little bit, and I don't mind.
Oh, you admitted it. Thank you.
I'm not going to lie about it.
Okay,
I'm not going to lie.
Now we have an honest conversation. So how do you feel about men that borrow from you?
It depends. It depends. I am not going to lie. It is a little cringeworthy inside. I'm just kind of like, but it depends on why. And it depends, again, if we are in a relationship. And if it's in a relationship, like, is it really borrowing? So it's a bunch of different questions that you got to ask. I'm more like, why? Right? It's different if he's like, I'm trying to get in on this deal for this property. Can I hold 10K? Or if he's like, yo, I need to get $200 so I can go buy some Jordans. You know what I'm saying? To me, the why really depends on it. And it depends on, like, is it for survival, or is it just like something special is coming up? Like, if it's like, okay, I got to pay my rent, like, you didn't know your rent was going to be due, like, what provisions are you making and what plans? But if it's something else, if it's like an investment, or if it's something that like comes up and his car gets totaled and his gap insurance didn't cover the overage, or just, it really depends on the reason. And if it's going to be something that's systematic, is it this going to be a systemic borrowing situation, or is this just kind of a one-off? That's really important too.
Borrowing from parents. How do you feel about men that borrow from their parents?
I mean, if you've got it and you've got parents that have resources, I think it's the same thing, right? Like, are you hitting your mama up because, you want to go and buy a Gucci belt? Or you're like, hey, mom, I want to make an investment. Or, hey, mom, I want to go back to graduate school and I don't want to take out student loans. Will you pay my tuition and I pay you back incrementally? Again, the why is important to me because I don't think it's bad if your parents are in a position to do it, why not? But it's just like, why?
So you won't look at your man a certain way if he says, you know what, I'm buying this house and I'm getting the down payment from my parents. You won't look at him like less of a man?
Absolutely not. I'll be like, that's what's up. Like, I would hope to do something like that for my offspring. So I don't think that's bad at all. I think that's great family structure and great support, actually. So, nah, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Not for that.
And wait. Jen says men have borrowed money from me, but I definitely went into his reasons. You're my ex folder. Right. Like, you know, at the end of the day, women look down upon that.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understood why, but I get it.
Mm-hmm.
From parents, I believe, you know, generational wealth is important. And if you can leverage your parents to move further in life, why not?
Why not? That's what they did it for. That's what our parents worked so hard for.
I don't want my children to do the same thing for me, right? Exactly. My children.
Yes.
You feel me? So with that being said, you know, it's the importance of legacy, the importance of blood, right? Your last name is your first, right? Mm-hmm. That's what you're responsible for.
Right.
But when women borrow from their parents or from us as men, we don't feel away.
Yeah.
We keep on saying this, we want equal this and equal that, but
who's saying that?
Y'all don't want equal rights and equitable, like y'all want the best of both worlds. Y'all want us to empower you and to take care of you.
It's situational because sometimes I need empowerment and sometimes I need rent money. It depends.
Right.
It depends on the situation.
Right. Okay. I just want to make sure. All right. I can't wait till I see the other list. All right. Number 6. Can't retain a job for long. Is that a red flag when you're in a relationship with someone?
That's definitely a red flag. And that's something I hope that you would find out before you actually got into relation with that person, because that could be a couple different things. That could be a discipline issue. That could be some other outside issue, maybe, I don't know, some type of drug or alcohol problem.
Right.
That could also just be that person not understanding their industry and where their skills fall within that industry. So that could also be an indicator of future stagnation as well, because maybe they like doing something that like the market just doesn't support and they're going to be in and out of work. So I think it's a really big indicator, and you have to kind of dig into why those things are the way that they are.
Well, maybe it's a sign from the universe. He has to be entrepreneur, or maybe it's a sign from the universe. He is supposed to be a stay-at-home dad. Wait, hold on. You don't like sads? You would never marry a sad if you were financially capable of doing it?
I wouldn't, because I understand the dynamic of men and women, and I feel like a man would like say he would be cool with it, but like ultimately from like a social standpoint, he wouldn't, and he'd be taking it out on me. I'd rather him work and make less money than me than to be a stay-at-home dad.
That is kind of crazy because you're assuming that he's not going to be good with that.
You're right, but let's speak.
I wouldn't be good with that. I wouldn't be good with that.
That's what I'm saying. Let's speak in general terms. I'd rather him build a business that's home-based or be a part of a family business that's home-based versus him just being Mr. Dad, because from a societal standpoint, like that's not celebrated. And I mean, he might be cool with it at first, but I think over time, the lack of respect he'll probably get from other men will influence him, and then it'll turn back around and it'll be resentment towards me. Okay.
How do you feel about men or women who like expensive gifts and flashy lifestyles? Is that a red flag? Is that a warning?
If they can afford it, it's not a warning. It's only a red flag when you don't live your life like that. Like I like nice things, but they don't have to be like the most expensive, the most flashy, the most whatever. But some people just do. Like it's got to be top tier, top shelf all the way. And if I don't necessarily put value in those things and they do, it will ultimately be a problem. It'll be cool initially, but long term, again, a lot of that kind of behavior builds resentment. So, no.
8 is always late for payments. How do you feel about that?
That means that they like giving away money, because when you pay late, a lot of times it's a late fee associated with it. So it means that you just want to give these banks and these folks your money. That's what that means. I mean, I think that could be something you could train someone out of. But again, I'm so leery of doing things like that.
Hold on. After you tell us that, tell us how can you train someone out of being late for payments? Okay. And sometimes I know men that have a lot of money and they just absent-minded. Like they pay late. They don't even put it to their account, like, you know, so they automatically pay for it. Right. They just absent-minded. Like me, men like me who are not computer savvy, like, oh, you know, how do you turn this on? How do you connect this to this? You just absent-minded, right?
Right.
Okay.
So how can you train someone out of doing that? I mean, exactly what you just said. Just be like, hey, babe.
Too much training going on. Nita said too much training going on.
Nita, I feel you. I'm there with you. But to me, I feel like I would give that a go. I'd be like, hey, let's just sit down and put all your stuff on auto pay. Or hey, why don't you put all your stuff on auto pay? You know, did you realize that you spent over $350 on late fees? Like that $350 could have been used towards something else. That's how I would approach it. But like having to sit down and manually do it, I probably would not. Having to continue to remind that person, I probably would not. And then that could ultimately be a situation. And I mean, again, it's not like I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, you missed a payment. I mean, because everybody could miss one every now and again because things happen. But like a consistent, like habitual payment misser, late payer, it just means you just got extra money you just want to give people. You could just be keeping that extra money for yourself.
Damn. A lot of people, man, everybody's gonna be single. Because they want us to become correct.
But that's adult stuff though, right? That's
I mean, for the most part, everything on this list is adult stuff.
Right.
But it's adult stuff that you learn on the go. Because most people don't learn this financial literacy from our parents, particularly our community.
Right.
Let's be honest. So you're expecting people, because we know a lot of street dudes that got money but don't do any of this stuff. We know a lot of college educated dudes that got money that don't do any of this stuff.
But that's unfortunate though, because I'm gonna quote my uncle, y'all. The world does not owe us understanding. So it's not acceptable to get out here and like waste time.
So my uncle Kevin Samuels.
Right. To waste time and waste money just because you don't know. Now, do we know everything? No. Can we perfect everything? No. But I think that some of this basic stuff, and to me, this is basic, and I'm not trying to be funny, but these are basic things. You're gonna learn them, whether you just get sick and tired of paying a dumb amount of interest on your credit card, whether you just get sick and tired of having to pay late fees. Like at some point you should learn. And hopefully that learning comes prior to a relationship, or even if you walk into it and say, hey, I'm not really good with money. This is something that I could work on. I think that's even acceptable, but then you have to do the work. You can't be like, I'm not good with money. Here's my paycheck. Right. You do what you got to do. And I know several couples that do that. I just don't think that that's sustainable, and I don't think it's fair.
Okay. Dictates financial behavior. Telling you what to do with your money. That seems like you seem like the type of person that might do that if you love somebody.
No, because they should know what they're doing. Here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you. We can have a conversation. We can collaborate. We can say, hey, this is a common goal we have. How do you want to attack it? How do you want to do this or do that? So like dictates financial behavior. That's why I don't think that it's cool necessarily for all couples to have one account, because I don't know what you're doing with your money. As long as when it comes time to do certain things, you've got it. To me, that's just one less thing that I've got to worry about. Like, I don't want to get in the habit of us having to dictate, oh, you bought this, or, oh, you did that. Like, I mean,
but isn't it kind of saying all this stuff that we're supposed to know is basic? Isn't it kind of dictating someone's money? Like, hey, listen, you should know this already. If you don't know this already, I'm telling you what we need to do, right? You need to save. Women do it all the time with their husbands or their lovers.
Yeah.
Actually, people believe that if a woman doesn't help you save money, she doesn't love you.
I mean, I think she can help you save money by not being an extra expense in certain ways. But I mean, again, it depends on how open this person is, and it depends on what their goals are, what their individual goals are, and what their collective goals are.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think dropping hints and sharing things is one thing, but like sitting and like teaching you how and being on you and being like, hey, okay, every month on the 15th, I'm gonna be like, hey, you save your money, you save your money, you save your money.
Right.
That's not my thing.
You know,
against it, but that's not my personal thing.
Yeah, one of the things I want is I don't really want to know what my woman is doing for money.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, when it's time to pay for something, just make sure you have yours.
That's it.
That's just I don't even want to know what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so don't ask me about mine. I won't ask you about yours. And let's just focus on love, right? Because I'm gonna make sure everything else is paid for. Just make sure what you pay for. And if the day that you don't pay for it,
that's another conversation. I think that's when you can kind of get more into that financial behavior dictation.
No, let's get to how you're gonna move out.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna figure out how you're gonna move out, because a lot of times, like, you know, the liberty that we give women, I'm not doing that anymore. Because let me miss a payment, let me miss a mortgage or a rent. Woman ain't gonna stay with you. I've been done paid for women's whole year in spots, and I had to eat that. But if we tell them, if we fall short now one time, it's like, whoa. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Like for example, like my biggest pet peeve is on a smaller scale, when you go out to eat for dinner, they know you paying for it. So why are they looking at the bill? This is what too big. What I hate is don't ask me. Why do women ask me what I'm going to eat? I hate that.
Maybe she just wants to know. Maybe she's interested.
I hate that because it's like, it's not going in your stomach.
Maybe she's just making. Maybe she's
y'all greedy. Y'all greedy.
No, maybe she's nervous.
You know why? Because like, whatever you get in, I'm not going to get it because I'm going to get some of yours too.
No, I mean, I was going to say maybe she's just kind of trying to make conversation. Maybe she's nervous and she thinks you're so handsome. She doesn't know what to say. So she's going to ask.
No, they do it all the time. But another thing is, don't look at the bill if you're not going to pay for it. That's what I don't like, right?
Really?
Yeah, I don't, unless I have my special friend, she looks at the bill and she's like, no, that's too much.
Mm-hmm. What if she wanted to leave the tip?
And I respect that. You feel me? But you could say that's too much before we ordered. But I respect it though, because at least she's concerned. You feel me? Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe she's looking at the bill because she wants to leave the tip, or maybe she's going to offer and say, hey, if you pay the bill, I'll leave the tip. You never know.
No, I don't. How do you feel about that? When a man says, I got the bill, you got the tip. You're going to be like, well, you're not going to get your tip inside me.
Yeah, facts. I'd rather offer to pay it than for him to ask. I'd rather grab it and say, hey, thank you for taking care of dinner. I'll leave the tip. And it would be great if he said, don't worry about it. But if he did, if he allowed me to, then I'd pay it. I mean, I don't care. Because I take money. I have money. So it's fine.
Right. But I can't ask him because that's like, okay, it's the tip. Are you serious? Right. OG Patrice, good save. Maybe she wants to take notes of what you like so she can cook it for you one day. Good save. Woman power. I'm glad y'all sticking together. But Mo, thank you for keeping it honest. Twin, I appreciate you. I always look, but I'm just nosy. Yeah. Women are nosy, but let you be nosy. Let a man be nosy.
Y'all still nosy anyway.
I'm not nosy. I don't even want to know, because the less you know, the more at peace you are. What they say, to whom much wisdom comes much sorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want sorrow. I don't want to know. I don't want to look at your phone. I don't want to know anything.
When you go looking, you'll find it. So it's best to not go look, because you will definitely find it.
Okay. Y'all are funny. Follows investing tips blindly. How do you feel about
I mean, it could be admirable, but that's a sign of financial immaturity.
Right.
That could also be a sign of a lack of discipline. That could be some instant gratification issues there because you just want to just, put in 500 today and get 500,000 tomorrow. I mean, again, it's a flag, but it could be something that you could have a discussion about. But it just depends, right? It depends on what their reason is and kind of.
Hold on. Shout out to my Yardie queen. Shout out Natalie. Yeah. What up to all my Jamaicans? Book. I'm sorry. Wagwan. I'm sorry. All right, go ahead.
No, that just could, it could mean a bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a red flag, but that could be a red flag that a conversation can be framed around and you can get more understanding as to like what's going on there. But it could mean a lot of things. It could be immaturity, lack of discipline, instant gratification, financial illiteracy. It can mean a bunch of things.
Okay. Terry says, I do offer to pay whenever I go out, regardless of date or not. See, this is the problem I have. I have a big problem with women that think like this.
Why?
I hate when you take a woman out to lunch or dinner and they says, do you want me to pay? You know what that means? That means, do you want to have unprotected sex or do you want to go straight home? Which one is it? Right? That's what that means. Because when a woman wants you to pay, it's like, you know, we say, yeah, you're going to be like, you feel me? Like it's gonna just dry up. You feel me?
Not all the time. I mean, if we are actively dating, even if we're not in a relationship, let's say this is our like 4th or 5th date. I mean, at that point, I don't think that there's anything wrong with the woman saying, I'll take care of it. Or at that point, she's inviting him out. And if she's inviting him out, then
then invite him out and then do that. Say, I'm taking you out. But don't have me pick the spot, take you out, and then say that, because that's corny. Like,
or instead of saying, do you want me to, just put your card up there. I mean, because
right. Hello, say that again. Don't tell me, just bing. And then even like I learned that she said, if a girl reaches for her purse and you don't have that, you don't grab the check before she pulls out that card, just know you're not going to pull out that night. Am I right or wrong?
It depends. If it's the first date, then that is absolutely correct. If it's maybe date 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then she already likes you because she's continuing to spend time with you.
I don't even want girls paying for my date. I just feel like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Why?
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Why are you upholding that social stigma?
No, it's not. They can pay for it, but like make it seem like you planned it. Don't just do that, right? And I don't think any man that you would date would let that happen. Let that happen unless he says, you know what, I do so much for her, let her do this.
I mean, I've paid for people that I wasn't like in a relationship with. I mean, it depends. It's happened. It's not a normal practice, but it's happened.
Oh, and she Natalie says she's showing a sign of independence. How do you feel about that?
And independence isn't bad. Sometimes women want to exert independence to let you know that she won't be a liability, that she'll be a partner. You know what I mean?
Oh, the little head fake, acting like, I still got it. That's why you don't have to worry about me, but she's the one that's going to get you. Let me tell you about women that I tend to get. I get women that can pay for their own stuff. They have their own stuff. Mm-hmm. They make their own money. Mm-hmm. But that's the woman that's going to get you the most.
Why?
That's the one that's going to scrape you the most.
How?
Because they let you know, I could do this by myself. So if you come into my life, you gotta do better. They're going to scrape you. Like a woman that says, I don't like Chanel, I don't like Valentino. Mm-hmm. I mean, she likes painting artwork, exclusive artwork. So it's a different level to her ski mask.
Yeah.
Her ski mask is not armed robbery. Her ski mask is cat burglary. Like she's going for the diamonds, the jewels. It's a different level, and I'm starting to realize that. You feel me? I'm starting to realize the woman that I go for are not the ones that's going to ask you for the bag and shoes. They're going to ask you when we going to have on a building or a house.
I
And,
think that's even better.
and some men would rather deal with the bags and shoes. It's easier.
Exactly. It's easier. So like at what point do we draw the line? Like it's quality over quantity. It's what's, the path of least resistance or the path of most resistance. It depends on what you value.
She said, Jen said, I like pain, but I like men who makes it uncomfortable even more. I totally get that. I totally get that. I think it's disrespectful when you try to pay for a man.
Okay.
Certain men feel disrespectful.
Yes. Yes. And that's why sometimes we don't know how to maneuver is so many mixed messages, because it's like if you try to pay, they're like, oh, don't disrespect me.
Right.
I can pay. And then if you don't, they're like, oh, you're a gold digger. So it's just like you don't know. So
Right.
it's best, I think, to catch that person's vibe and to vibe with them individually.
Mm-hmm.
And then also on the first date, don't pay.
Don't pay. You're adamant about not paying on the first date.
Because it's an experience and it's us getting to know each other. And you came up to me and you asked me to go out. And it's just this whole thing. I think the first date is kind of pomp and circumstance.
Right.
And I just would rather not. I think I probably would not go on a second if I had to pay on the first date. That's just me. Where I am right now. It's very, very unlikely.
Okay. So these are the things, the 10 financial warnings you should look at when you're in a relationship. And now we're going to turn up the conversation just a little bit. We're going to talk about marriage. While you're in marriage. So I want, some of the things might seem similar, but they're really, really not. And I want everybody to, just pay attention. Tell me what you think about the list. And while me and Kim give our little input. They say bag and shoes don't last. Anyone can have it. I hear you. I hear you, boo-boo. I hear you. They want it all. Y'all want it all. And you're not going to turn it down either. 10 ways to prevent money from ruining your marriage. First thing first, don't set yourself up for failure. Meaning, why are you dating somebody that doesn't see money the way you do? Or doesn't have the requirements the way you do?
Yep.
To me, I think that's kind of wrong too, because at the end of the day, it's like people have a way to grow or evolve. But for some reason, y'all women don't think that men can evolve or women can evolve from having bad past. I know a lot of women that fix their own credit. So if a man thought like them, you understand? Like, I know women that fix their credit too because they let a man ruin their shit. I know men that have women ruin their shit, but they fixed it. So right. Why is it don't set yourself up for disaster? What does that really mean?
Don't put yourself in an impossible situation. And yes, by and large, things can change.
Right.
But like, will they change? So you have to do your due diligence to see the possibility of that. I mean, to me, setting yourself up for disaster would be getting in connection and relationship with someone who has bad money habits and at this point in time has absolutely no thought or want or desire to change them. It's different if they have bad money habits and they're like, I want to do better, let's figure this out. They go on their own journey. But if they're just like, I know I'm bad and I don't care, like that's impossible because they don't want to change.
Okay. But let's take it deeper.
Okay.
Don't set yourself up for disaster. Let's talk about weddings. Yeah. Couples start a relationship from ruining marriages. Weddings are probably the worst thing you could do for your marriage.
Yeah.
If your family is not paying for it.
Yep.
If the couple is paying for it, that's probably the worst thing you could do coming out of college with your debt is have a wedding.
Yes.
Why are people setting up themselves for this disaster? And why? Because I don't know. And how do we prevent that?
Well, it's because of how we're socialized. And I've said this before, like you can go on the dress up aisle in any toy store for girl clothing and you'll see a wedding dress, right? So it's just stuck in your head. This is my day. This is my thing. And like I said before, We focus more so on the wedding and not the marriage. And now too, weddings are like a show of like social status. The ring is a show of social status. It just becomes more so for the outside circle than it actually is for the couple.
Right.
And they're not realizing the debt. And even if they don't go into debt, even if they pay for it outright, you have to look at, yeah, but you saved for 2 years to do that. Like, what was the purpose of that? It depends on what you put your value on, because I'm not downing like weddings. They're beautiful and whatnot, but I just think that that doesn't guarantee anything in the marriage. And a lot of things aren't guaranteed, but that is not one of those things that's going to be like, okay, the more money I spend on my wedding, the more we're going to have a shot at being able to work this out. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those factors that just kind of doesn't matter. So I think just how we're socialized, we put so much emphasis on that, and it doesn't have to be as much.
Okay. Experts say that they all agree that people should fully disclose their financial situation to their partners. And I'm talking about debts, loans, income sources, investments, financial assets, obligations, children, family,
Yep.
cousins in them.
Yep. Yep.
They should fully disclose, but you just said that, certain things, and I said it too, certain things you don't want to talk about. So number 2, discuss your demons. What are some deep financial demons that we in marriages or deep relationships don't discuss? Thank you so much, Knowledge and Relationships. Go and support his page. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, brother.
So before we get there, I want to take a page out of a book of how other groups of people date. And I am saying this very cautiously because I really hate when people are like, ooh, do it like the Eastern people do it because blah, 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 blah. But I will say this. I think that one thing that they do in dating and vetting, it takes less infrastructure than other things.
Right.
And when they say, I want to marry you, they're like, here's the deed to my home. Here is the, what do you call the thing to your car? The title to my car, or vice versa. I might have gotten that confused.
Right.
Here's my W-2. Here, I can prove that I've been working at this company for this amount of time. This is my check stub. Right. And I mean, all of these things are kind of unrefutable, and you can lay them out and tell the story. I think that's a great way to date, especially now. And honestly, especially if you're dating a stranger. Like, I personally have never been in a relationship with a person that like I did not have some sort of connection to through another person. But it's people out here that are just meeting people, and it's just very hard to partner when you kind of just have that many things about them that you don't know. So going to those demons, I mean, even talking about the psychology behind money, if you have any type of hurt or trauma around it, maybe your mama put her light bill in your name when you were 2 and you got bad credit when you were 5. I mean,
it happens.
It happens. And
it happens.
Talking about those traumas is really, really good. It's not always about this is how much money I'm in debt. This is this is that. Just really uncovering your attitude about money and the psychology behind it, I think is like the foundational step that you got to do.
Right. Demons, financial demons, real financial demons. Mm-hmm. The things you don't want us to discuss.
Yeah.
The illegitimate children you don't want to let her know about that you got to pay for. The bankruptcies, the restitution, right? The stuff that you don't want her to know about, and if you do know about, you don't want to discuss it because that's on you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But no one's perfect,
right?
Here's some cultural things that we need to know as Black people within the Black diaspora. Mm-hmm. And I just happen to be fortunate to know about this because of my travel and the fact that I associate with other cultures outside of my culture. So let me just drop some jewels for you. You know that certain cultures, the woman does not leave the house until she gets married?
Yep.
You know how much money she saves? What if she's an RN, or she's an accountant, or she's a doctor, she's a lawyer, she's still living at home? Yep. Do you know how much money she saves before she gets married?
Yes.
Do you know how much money the man saves living at home? But no, your nasty ass want to have sex so you get your own place. You get this fucking overly expensive duplex in the city to have random sex with a woman that you don't love, that you finally meet someone that you fucking dig and you want to be with her, but you can't be with her because...
You were telling the story right now.
Yeah, I was telling the story. You can't be with her because at the end of the day, you gotta learn how to compromise. And it's gonna take a little bit more time to compromise because you come from a place that doesn't have structure. And Kim constantly tells us that. I remember one show you said you can't put us under the same judgment because we don't have that protocol, hierarchy, or structure within our communities.
No, we don't.
So you have people who are trying to live up to the expectations of their neighbors, the Joneses, like Patrice said, OG Patrice said. I see all the comments. I see when you drop gems, OG Patrice. But because we want to live up to them, we leave our parents' house early.
Yeah.
Everybody's guilty of that. Everybody, and then you have women that tease men. You don't got your own place.
But I think that's a social norm and stigma that was born out of something that's not correct, because I hear so many people say, I can't wait till my child turn 18. I can't wait till they're 18. I can't wait. And it grinds my gears and it gets on my flipping nerves, because not only do we not teach our children things sometimes, then we boot them out before they are prepared to afford to live. And even I feel that way about college, because a high percent of college debt is living expenses. And I'm going to sound like Dave Ramsey a little bit, but we allow our kids to get excited about going to a school that we can't even afford for them to go to.
Because of the Ivy League. It's top tier. And they can't afford to go there.
I'm sorry?
Because they want to go to Ivy League. It's top tier, but they can't afford to go there.
Yeah, maybe that, but I'm talking about even state schools and kids going out of state, because I always dreamed about going to so-and-so. Well, does your dream have the money to write the check?
Ooh.
But I'm being real, but even before that, just this whole idea of kicking our kids out at 18, and to your point, King, especially, and I've seen this in other cultures, in men and women staying home, and they're 25 or 26. They've worked a corporate job for like 5 years, and they can go out and put $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 on a home when they get married. You see what I'm saying? Right. And I think it's something that we can do, but we've got to heal that hurt and that trauma, and we have to get over wanting to kick our kids out when they turn 18. Because a lot of people like, I had it hard, so you got to have it hard. You're not.
Or they don't kick them out. You know, it's not like that. You know, parents are a little bit smooth. You know what they do?
No, they do.
You got to pay the bills.
That, and they're like, so I got to stay here and pay bills, and I can't do what I want to do. I might as well just leave.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yep.
I'm going out there with all the down moves and the bloods. I'm selling drugs and I'm out.
Exactly. And I don't think it's good, but then I also try to reserve judgment for those parents, because sometimes they're barely making it, and they're like, okay, now you are of age to finally help me, so help me. I personally think if you live in your parents' home, you should at least be able to take care of yourself. Buy your own food, buy your own stuff, whatever. But I don't necessarily think that they should have to pay rent, because I would hope the parents are self-sufficient, but that's just my mindset. And that was my experience. So
OG Patrice, Kim, you're so right. You're so true. Our white counterparts never do that to their children. We need to stop the madness. Yeah. Shout out to Natalie Thompson. She says, how do y'all feel about parents charging their children rent when they start working? Some people say, oh, I'm trying to teach them responsibility.
You can charge it, but put it in a savings account. I mean, if it's not doing anything for you in your pockets, I mean, yeah, maybe get them accustomed to it, or just make them save and show them how to save. I don't necessarily think that does anything for the child. I think it would be more efficient if you were to make sure that they were fully self-sufficient. So if they lived at home and they're going to college, help them save so that they can pay their own tuition. You know, I think it's a better way of showing savings, but I feel that we want to pass on that trauma. We want to pass on that I got it out the mud and so do you. And I just don't think that's healthy, and it's absolutely not serving us economically.
See?
Yeah.
See, what I'm talking about. Different cultures. Terry says, and she can't speak for every Korean, but she is Korean. She says in my culture, we chip into our family. We stay with them until we're ready. You know, in most cultures, you know, I'm fortunate. I had a father. The house was paid for already. So what am I adding to?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I was just blessed in that fact. You know, I'm blessed with a family that never has to lean on me.
Same.
I'm wealthy because I have a family that actually pours into me.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So I'm wealthy. That's why I think I'm a catch, not because I'm fucking handsome. But I'm a catch because of that. Hello.
Hey.
You're funny. Understand your partner's money mindset. So we want to talk about something that people don't really talk about. A lot of fights that are within relationships are not caused by the spouses and their spending or saving of money. It's caused by temperament, how they view money, how they treat money, how do they worship money, or how they don't worship money. You have different people like, yo, Mo, what's up, man? Yo, son, let's do this investment. All right, you lose the money. You gotta go home and tell your lady you lost the money. And guess what? She said, damn, we need. I said, don't worry about it. I could get it from the mud. I always get out the mud.
That could cause a problem. That could definitely cause a problem.
Especially for you.
How she felt about it.
Especially for you, Kim, because you are a woman that needs to know your man has reserves.
And I mean, honestly, if we're gonna really get into it,
I love you so much because I know you're so real, yo.
I feel that like if you don't have if you're taking away from paying a basic necessity to invest,
right,
then you got the game wrong from the beginning.
Okay.
Because your investments, of course, you should be prepared that something could fail or something could not go according to plan. So like skipping paying the light bill to give to your homeboy so he could, pick up something that fell off a truck and sell it and flip it, like that just isn't sustainable. So I would much rather have the conversation of let's get to a point where we can consistently pay our bills, save incrementally, and then invest versus skipping a foundational expense that we've got to pay to invest. That just doesn't make any sense.
Well, you want to know who you're dealing with, right? I think on Money Harmony, there's a free quiz that determines if your lover is a hoarder, a spender, money monk, avoider, or a masser.
Oh.
So there's different types of, people mindsets when it comes to money. You got people that like to amass debt. You got people that like to amass assets. Yeah. So you got to know who you're dealing with.
Right.
You got to really know who you're dealing with before you get into a relationship with them. Number 4, another way to prevent people from ruining marriage through money is set your eyes on the same prize. And so is that really possible? Like at my age, like are we really going to have the same prize? Like besides the whole typical, we want to be wealthy.
And I mean, generally speaking, I think you could, because it could be so broad. It doesn't have to be specific, because you also too could have your own endeavors. Like every single thing that you invest in and you buy and you amass, I mean, legally it is hers and yours, but it doesn't mean that like you have to like be interested in everything that each other does. Like for instance, if you like real estate and I like the stock market, it doesn't mean that I have to compromise for real estate and you don't have to compromise for the stock market. It could just be, hey, this is my portfolio. This is what I'm doing. You could do the same thing. So, I mean, I think generally you could have the same prize. Like if you're like, we want to be millionaires by this time, then we sit down and we figure it out, but you don't have to go about it in the same way. I think we think relationship, we think oneness, but then we also think that like there can't be any diversity in that oneness. Like you're not going to be successful unless you're working on the same exact thing at the same time. I don't think that that's feasible. And I think that's boring. And I also think that it's less likely to happen.
Right. All right. So let's talk about something real. When it comes to having the same prize, can you really respect your spouse or your lover in regards to having the same financial goals if they don't make as much as you?
Yeah, you can, because like I said before, it depends on like what they're doing. Prime example, let's say I make 150,000. Let's say my spouse makes 80, but let's say I'm paying a $900 car note and my spouse owns their car outright. It depends on how you're spending the money. I think as women though, I don't think that we have to compromise, because I still think a person that makes that amount of money can provide provision. But I think with the ego of that, we've got to get over, because sometimes we think, oh, he's not going to be interested if I make more. And a lot of men are like that. But then there are some men that aren't. So I think we just have to give people equal chances. Whereas same thing, a man could be like, oh, she makes way more money than me. I don't have anything to offer her. I'm going to leave her alone. I think got to get to know people. Oh, men are absolutely like that. You don't know any?
No, because I grew up in the house with my father. He was an international banker, he made way more money than my mother, registered nurse, and then he got laid off. He set up a branch in Ghana, didn't do too well, came back, and then became a caseworker at ACS. So he started making less than my mother.
Okay.
But we already had a system, and the system is trust, and that system can only be implemented when you have a family, a homogenous family. You can't have a blended family; it won't work which was that they would take the lesser salary and live off.
Yeah.
And take the person with the most salary and save.
Yep.
That requires a lot of trust, right?
Yes.
And then they had that trust, and I don't know if I could have that trust right now, for me. Or I don't know if somebody would trust me and say, hey, and you know what? I think I can though, because if they knew what my family had, we worked so hard to get, they're gonna trust me because they know I have more to lose in regards to. So they're gonna say, you know what? I'm in the family. I'm married. We're married. So he's gonna follow the footsteps because he believes in legacy. Right. But most people, you can't trust people with sticking to the same prize or goal, financial goal, because things happen. Life happens.
Right.
People get sick. People cheat. People you know how strong it is for someone to cheat on you, and you still say, you know what? We're still going to buy that building.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and I think that's a choice that people make, because I don't necessarily think that if we're speaking specifically at infidelity, I don't think that that's an automatic deal breaker for a marriage. So I can definitely still see kind of staying in that same vein of, this is what we're going to do, so on and so forth. But to the point with your parents, they were already an established unit. So you're right, that trust was already there. But I'm talking about starting out, if the woman was making more than the man. I mean, I've even heard Nikki talk about it. And Nikki's like, women know what she does professionally off top. They're a little like, she has probably done stuff that I want to do or haven't done. Or if I did something with her, it wouldn't be good enough for her. It's that assumption. So I think in order for us to really partner together effectively, we're going to have to lower that down and then just actually see if that's how the person feels about you.
Right. In marriage, I really believe that a marriage won't last unless you have similar goals. But a lot of people try to only do things to get their goals met. They don't really want to do things. Shout out to Coffee No Cream. They don't really want to do things because they really want to do it. They do it so they can get what they want out the deal. So if your goal is to open a coffee shop, and your wife really doesn't want to do a coffee shop, but she knows her goal is to do this, she's gonna help. She's gonna say yes, and I think that's actually problematic. You got to be really transparent with your partner. Say, I don't want a coffee shop, right? This is how I really feel. But if you're gonna do it, let's do it. Or I don't want to put all our money in the Roth IRA. I don't want to do it. You have to be honest about things like that. And I don't think we're honest as couples, right? I think people want the life that they want to live. And when I tell them, go and get it.
But then at what point, okay, so now you were kind of getting on women about being picky and wanting people to be perfect. Right. But then I feel that you have this standard to where you want complete and total alignment with certain things. And so it's there's compromise. I mean, here's the thing. If I make a conscious choice to say, you know what, I want to open my coffee shop, but first we're going to have to open a tire store. Right. If it's something that's I'm okay with, and if it's not going to derail me, and if it's not going to put us in a place to make other things impossible, that's a compromise. It doesn't really matter to me. And so I don't think that it's bad if people are still kind of looking out for their individual goals, because I mean, I'm gonna be real, even in a relationship, you still have to finesse a little bit. It's still got to be a little massaging of some of this stuff. It can't just be I'm gonna do this, you're gonna do this, and then that's just it. Sometimes you got to go along to get along just a little bit when it doesn't impede on you personally and it doesn't take away from your self-worth or your goals or your dreams. If you want to do something and I want to do something, I still want to do my thing. But if it's not a big deal for me to let you go first, you go first. Right. You got to just, see what you... Thank you, Daryl.
So you have that much trust to do the Monique. Monique said it one time, when she won an award, she said, my husband, who she shares a husband with other women, comedian Monique. She said, yeah, they have an open relationship, but she says, and she has fun too. She says, he said, I go first with my career, and once I make it, then his go. It's trust in that. It's trust having. It's a lot of trust, and people don't have that. And I want that. I try my best to want that, but I'm scared that I'm going to be the only one that has that type of trust. You know, and I don't want to. I'm 41. I can't take I cannot take an L in divorce. Mm-hmm. That would set me back. It's like me going to jail now for a crime. I'm not coming out to 60. So it's like a divorce. Get a divorce in your 40s, 50s. It's like you might as well just say you failed.
Well, that's where prenups come in at. Shout out to Mr. Rucker.
Mr. Rucker.
And I don't think that prenups are just the dirty word that people make it seem like it is, because I don't know if people know this, but women, to sign one, you can also counter with some terms. So you can make those terms sweet for you as well. It's not just, here's a prenup, you better sign it. Like, you can get it reviewed, you can put in clauses and different things, and it can be a negotiation. So I don't think that it's like the dirty word or the dirty concept that people want to make it seem like it is. So I think, that part of what you're saying, that could be remedied there. But, trust is very funny, King. Trust is one of those things where you can't get it until you give it. And there's no shortcut around it. So you're right. We could say, hey, we're a couple, we're together. I want to get my PhD. You want to go travel the world. We're going to go travel the world first. And then when we get back, I'll get my PhD. There is no guarantee that that's going to happen, but I have to extend that trust in you to even see if it's going to happen. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Trust is really super funny, and it can be weird, and it can bite you in the ass, but then sometimes it can be sweet too.
It's crazy because I've been talking to a lot of people, lawyers, accountants, and they always tell me, it's funny that Cream said it, like prenups, will, joint accounts, separate accounts, whatever. There's so many ways to have a marriage nowadays without having joint anything.
It is.
You can have a marriage. That's why when people say, "Oh, how's your credit? How much money?" Why? Because it doesn't matter if you love me. Hold on. It doesn't matter if you love me, but you're saying it based on temperament, right? But really and truly, if you wanted to, you can marry somebody without having anything connected financially.
That is true. That is very true.
But what the problem is with that is when someone dies, that's when the power switches, because you're married to them. Sometimes marriage actually supersedes real estate investment trust. It supersedes that sometimes. Marriage supersedes a lot of things financially. So yeah, you could be living financially separate while you're alive, but the issue is what happens when you're gone, and you don't want to give certain people certain of your assets.
But then that's where some of that paperwork comes in, or that's just when you gotta outlive your spouse or just feed them and let them get fat, and maybe they'll be unhealthy. I mean, I don't know. I think that, there is a way to do that. Like, there are some things that you could set up to where if you were to perish, certain things that you have don't automatically go to your spouse. So, I mean, on every single thing you have, there's a beneficiary, even on like your bank account. You know what I mean? So it's you have to really dot your I's and cross your T's if you are married to someone and you don't want them to get your benefits when you pass away.
Right.
So I mean, it's a business thing.
That's crazy. It's like then why marry them?
I mean, maybe because you want to have the experience. I mean, here's the thing. You might not necessarily find that person that you can totally entrust with your finances and your heart and your body and your mind. Right. Maybe this is just your good time person. And if that's the case, and you know that about them and you accept that about them, then you should just make sure that you're covered. I mean, I don't judge it, because we all want partnership. So if that's what you want to do and you're doing it in clear conscience and you got your business set up, like, now that particular thing wouldn't be for me. I don't think I would want to marry someone that I didn't want to leave something to or felt a certain way about, but that's just me. And I'm not a lot of people. Some people do it and they're totally successful, because at the end of the day, you got to look at people for who they are, and you got to look at a situation for what it is.
Okay, I know a wealthy family
Mm-hmm.
that had issues in regards to one of their homes because they didn't want the uncle to have it because it would have been given to his wife who they didn't like, who wasn't part of the family. I know people that don't want to leave anything to their stepchild because that's not part of their namesake.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel about that? To me, I think if you're super rich, it doesn't matter. But when you're not super rich, and I'm talking about not super rich, it's like 5-10 million and down. That's not super. You're not rich. You're middle class
Oh.
at best,
Oh.
right? So that was actually a good screen. But at best, you're at middle class. So what happens is, how do you feel about people that think like that? Do you think it's selfish? Do you think that it's honorable because you just want to support your generational wealth, or you should be able to think beyond yourself and give to people who are not related to you, but who are part of the family?
Okay, so when it comes to family, I definitely lean on including people that you might not be blood related to, because there are people of blood relation that you might not necessarily want to leave something to. I think your family in your village can be whoever you deem it to be.
Right.
Now, personally, when it comes to stepchildren, I know that's a really touchy topic. I think that's petty, but that is my personal opinion.
Okay.
If someone were to do that, it wouldn't be any sweat off my brow. Now, I think as a parent, though,
How's
with
that petty? Because technically, legally, you're not responsible for them.
you're right, but I'm just saying from like a social aspect, from a parental aspect,
Mm-hmm.
all stepchildren relationships are not contentious. And I think that's the big thing. That's the thing. You're not my dad. You're not this. You're not. I know plenty of people that have bonus parents that they've never said that to their parents.
Bonus parents.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
it's
what I call it.
called, no, I heard it, but bonus parents.
Yeah. They have like a step. I don't like saying step, but they have a bonus parent, an additional parent, and they've never said that to them. So I mean, I think that we just kind of assume it's one thing and it's not. I think it's petty, but to each his own. If I were
Natalie says, "How a stepchild? If you truly love someone, if you truly love someone,
how can you not?
children, how can a child not be yours? Because that child probably has a good supporting, loving father already, or a
Maybe
good supporting, loving a mother already. Like for example, let's take it to celebrities.
Okay.
Steve Harvey has his daughters alone. He has his own daughters.
Yep.
When he married, who he married, Madam M, Laurie took his last name.
And so did the boy. I mean, I think it's endearing. Again, it's not something that I would.
Is a good come up move. What we talking about here?
Oh no! And that was going to be my next point. It
What
absolutely
we talking about here?
because they didn't grow up with him and they were grown when they got married. I think it's different when maybe you grow up with that parent, but like they were grown, so they did it for the flex and they did it for the gram, and it worked. I mean, you hear her name all the time. It absolutely worked. But I mean, it just depends on the individuals and the intention behind it. Now, I don't know if I want to marry someone who was going to leave my child out, but if they did, I would make sure that my child had something.
Right. But this is what I'm saying. I can understand if you raised a child, you came into the ladies, like, there's some men that come to a woman's life when the child is a baby. So the child is like, you raised that child. But if the child is like an adult, an emerging adult, it's kind of hard to leave your assets to a person you don't really know.
But I mean,
like I said, Lori Harvey. I'm using that Lori Harvey thing because like he don't know her.
He doesn't. But I think that's probably a requirement though of the mom. And so you are going into covenant and into relationship with that person.
Janelle Parsons says, Petty, you truly don't love your spouse if you're even considering not including your stepchild. Hold on. For me, and this is just me, I don't have any children. I agree with you, Janelle. I totally agree with that, especially if the baby is a little baby and you help raise them. Because I know a lot of men that help raise children and they're not even married to the lady anymore or will ever be married to a lady.
Right.
But me as a man, if my child took my her stepdad's last name, that's ultimate disrespect. As a man, I don't want no man leaving anything for my child.
But why would you not want your child to have additional resources? What if your
It's not
child
about additional resources. It's not about I want to provide for my child.
But that doesn't mean you're not providing. I think that's ego. And sometimes, especially when we deal with children,
right,
ego is the first thing that we've got to check at the door. I mean,
why is that ego?
Because it's egotistical, because you are saying, I don't want another man to provide for my child, but you're still providing. And here's the thing, you can never have enough provision. So if your child has a stepfather that is a nice person and they pass away and they leave something to your child, why would you not want your child to accept that? That doesn't make any sense.
No, I didn't say she could accept it. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that because I don't want to disrespect the father. For example,
that's hogwash. Okay.
Let me say why. Let me say why. And I love how you check me. I love it. But it's just my opinion. Maybe it is ego. Maybe it's ego. But I'm in a position where if I had a child and I wasn't with the lady, the child is good, right? And I feel like any child of mine, the mother's going to be able to marry another man because of love. It will never have to be because of finances. That's
good.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's a different conversation when you have this conversation with me, because you're not marrying that man to survive. You're not marrying a new guy because you want your daughter to have a good life. You're married because of love, because you know whether you marry a man or not, you good. That's why I love the way Eddie treats Nicole. Nicole ain't marrying nobody. She good. I don't need anybody for money.
Wasted that money too, but
You feel me? But I just feel it's crazy, because let me ask you a question now. If you were a man, would you leave your stepchild property and money, or would you leave your nephew or niece, who's your blood, property, money?
I'll leave it to my stepchild.
Because my blood.
Yes, because my stepchild was also a part of my legacy, because they were part of the intellectual property I left behind. I might not be speaking life into my niece and my nephew. I might not be teaching them and instructing them, but I would be that stepchild if they were in my home, because that's the environment that I'm setting.
Yeah, that's just me. My nephew and niece, because I think essentially that's blood. Okay, here's another example. If you had a stepchild that you got in marriage and you had you had a child of your own, who would you leave? Would it be equal?
Absolutely.
Whoa.
Because what people don't also
whoa, Kim. You have a child with you're a man. I'm not saying as a woman. You're a man. You had a child with your wife. You married her, and she has a stepson, and you have a son. So you're going to leave them equal amounts?
Absolutely. Because what people don't realize as well is like the back end and the backlash of what that causes too. You either are going to build a family or you're not. This back and forth teeter totter. I'm gonna be your daddy a little bit, but then not really.
You're not gonna know. You're gone. You're not gonna know. It's too late. They're not gonna know.
No, but what I'm saying is that's when it's worse, because then now it's going to be bickering in between them. And before you have like that whole cohesive family, and that just blows it up. And to me, that's just a point that you're trying to prove, but then you're ruining your relationship.
It says biological child comes first, the stepchild comes, then the stepchild comes.
I just feel like people who think that way don't need to get married to somebody that has a child. And it's simple, because there's plenty of people out here that don't have kids. But I don't think that you should go into
That's right, get spicy. Get spicy, Kim.
It's plenty of people out here that ain't got none, at least none on this side.
No, I hate the fact y'all mother be having some good bucks. It's like, fuck. Yo, fuck. You got A1 platinum shit that make you redefine your whole life, the way you live life.
Top shelf. It is what it is. But I mean, I think again too, we have to go into this whole thing of like village and family. And again, my personal experience has been that like my village and family isn't necessarily people that I'm related to. So maybe I just have a different mindset because of that fact. And there's people
Oh,
that I'm blood related to that I wouldn't leave diddly
I
squat.
got pushback for you. First, let's read over to Patrice. OG says it depends on your relationship with family. I know some stepchildren that treat the parents better than the blood children and vice versa.
Yep. So do I.
Coffee and Cream says that's sweet, Kim. But realistically speaking, generational wealth is only through blood, not stepchildren. Oh,
I disagree with that.
can you tell us why? Because I need to know why. Because
No.
is she technically kind of right?
No, but it goes back to what I said before. Again, your family isn't necessarily people that you're blood related to, number one. Those stepchildren, if they were within your environment and your realm of influence, they are your legacy, period.
Right.
Legacy isn't just a child that you've sired, it is a child that you pour things into, you pour time, you pour resources. So if you taught that child how to play basketball, or you picked them up from practice, or you did whatever, like they're part of your legacy, you're pouring into them. So it would be very stupid for you to do that for them throughout their life, and then you die and you're like, okay, yeah, like I kind of F with you, but not really. Like I am one of
I
you
seen that though.
are in it or you're not. I've seen it too, and it's ridiculous.
I see
And
people get shit on they got the last word for real, for real.
exactly. And to me, that also causes wounds of trust and betrayal to
Right.
someone, because you were there for me my entire life. And then it's different if you don't leave anybody anything or you have nothing to leave, but you purposely leave me out. I don't think that's honorable. I don't think there's anything honorable in having a relationship with someone and lifting them up and loving them. And then at that time, you leave everybody something but them. You purposely leave them out. I think that's trash.
Wow. All right, we got to talk about that because that's a deep thing.
Yeah.
Number 5. Don't ignore the B word, and the B word is not for bounty killer. Don't ignore this. The B word is not for Bambi. It's not for blunts. The B word is budget. According to the Gula poll, they said only 32% of people actually have a budget.
Mm.
Do you think first of all, how important is having a budget in a relationship? Then can you still keep a relationship, marriage, romantic marriage relationship with a budget? Can you really be romantic on a budget?
It depends. And it depends on how in harmony you all are. I think it can be done. It just depends on how your mind works and how you are with money. If you know at the end of the month, you've got to have a certain amount, to me, it doesn't really matter how you get there. I think you can be romantic on a budget. You can still do things and still be spontaneous. I don't think it's like a requirement, so to speak, outside of just knowing if you have a financial obligation, you got to uphold it. Come hook or come crook. Like you got to do what you got to do to make sure you got the money to roll over to savings or the money to pay the mortgage or whatever whatever it may be. I think it's a bunch of ways you can do it. And I think you can have a very fulfilling, very fun marriage doing it, because let's just say you want to do something super expensive, then like you just save for a couple of months and you do it, or you save for a couple of weeks and you do it, or you agree to put it on your credit card, or you agree to get money out of your joint savings to do it, whatever. I think in that instance, the couple has to work in tandem and they have to be under the same understanding of what they want to do.
Okay. I heard you, Natalie. You say my government name. Damn. The B word. A lot of people, like, I don't know if you know this, Kim, but a lot of people they have a budget because they don't have.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Or they have it in
You're requesting people to save up.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really have it.
Yeah. So
and would you marry a man that's on a budget?
Sure. I think it shows financial independence or financial, maybe not independence. It shows financial discipline.
Right.
But I think it's problematic when you have like living expenses and you can't pay them. So that means that you've got to do some readjusting there first, because there are just certain things that you can't necessarily like save your way out of, and you can't create money to save if it's all being absorbed for living expenses. So I think the most prudent thing to do would be to readjust. But I don't think being on a savings is bad or wrong, or having to save for a vacation for 6 months or whatever. I don't think that's a bad thing, especially when you're working towards a goal.
Okay. All right. Budgets. Do you think that a lack of budget can destroy a marriage? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, because like I said, you can just know what you're responsible for and not have a budget and just be mindful and like make things happen. You don't have to have an itemized list like, ooh, I spent $105 at the grocery store and I should have spent $100. Oh no. Like, I mean, you have to have I think it's better to have a buffer. And when you have two incomes, you should absolutely have a buffer. I think it's problematic to have two incomes and you guys are both living at max capacity.
Right.
That's when it gets a little tight. It gets a little stringent. I liked your idea earlier about living off of one income, but even if you live off both, you still should have a buffer. You both still shouldn't be spending like all of your money.
My man Squarebiz said, "Man, I'm tired of that dusty talk. Most people is budgeting if you're Black."
Yeah, it's true. If we look at the national averages of earnings, I think that is, and I'm looking for my Post-it note with it. I think that's very true. I think on average, and this maybe wasn't Black women, but women make somewhere in the $20,000 range, and men make somewhere in the $30,000 or $40,000 range. And at those wages, with like living expenses being what they are, people are definitely counting and accounting for every single penny they have. That's true. That's life.
Okay, we're gonna bring up Mr. Best in the World, and we're gonna go through this real quick. Mr. Best in the World, what's up, baby?
What's going on, family? What's up? Busy day, running errands. Y'all know how Mondays are.
Yeah. What's good? We want to talk about stop keeping secrets. What is that about?
Wow.
I think we all keep secrets. I think men, we don't tell you how we get money. And I think y'all ladies respect that when you think you know how much is in the account, and then we come with a surprise gift. You say, "How did we get this?" And then 2 months later, we get indicted. You're like, "Fuck." Right?
Damn, that's a big secret.
Yeah, that's a big secret. It wasn't a secret. So what do you think about keeping secrets? Kim, is the best in the world?
I'll go real quick. I mean, is the secret detrimental? Are you keeping a secret that you're not eating out for a month because you're gonna save up to buy me diamond earrings? Okay, that's a good secret. To your point, are you keeping the secret that you're secretly moving money around or embezzling or trying to do something funny with the taxes or whatever? Like, yeah, that's not a good secret to have. I actually know a couple who the man told the woman that he wanted to take money out of a 401k. She had to sign for it because there were, that was his fault. And he said that he was doing it for one reason, but he actually did it for another. And the reason that he did it was a good reason, but it was a secret. And it was something that the woman would not have wanted him to do. And so I think little things like that are extremely duplicitous and they can cause problems long term. So I think like if you are going to plan a surprise for your spouse, you need to be able to afford the surprise and don't like trick and do some bait and switch and be like, look, I tricked you into doing this, but here, this was for you. Like that just ruins the whole thing.
Right. So what happens is it says 7% of the population have concealed financial accounts, such as checking accounts, savings accounts, and credit cards from their spouses, partners, or significant others they live with, according to the creditcards.com poll. They also said almost 20% have secretly spent $500 or more without telling their partner. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not going to tell you that I spent money on something that's more than $500 if it's my money.
Right.
And I'm not married because it's not my money. It's still my money? It's still my money if I'm married or no?
In my opinion, it is our vision and our goal, but it's still my money and it's still your money. That's how I feel.
Whoa, women don't think like that. Mr. Bester, what you think? Is it our money if we married?
Nowadays, it has to be.
Why?
You know what I mean? You could get away with that stuff back in the day. Like my grandfather, like he had 2 families, but he was the only one working. You know what I mean? Because that's just how things were back in the day. Mm-hmm. But you can't pull that shit no more. Nah, like both of you, like number one, if you live in a big city like we do, You know what I mean? Unless you like really flexing some major bread, you know what I mean? Then you can do it. Then it's like, yeah, the man can kind of basically be the money source if he really chose to be, if he has it like that. But most people have to live with two incomes, especially if you have kids. And most people do have kids from what I know. Only know a select few of marrieds who don't really have kids.
Right.
So yeah, that keeping secret stuff with the money thing, yeah, that don't really work nowadays, man, because you kind of really do need both. And I even see, even when I do look at back in the days of how, you know, like I said, my grandparents were doing it, I do see the flaws in it. I do see the flaws. I do see how, you know, even though they did leave stuff to my grandmothers and stuff like that, because both my grandfathers are gone, God rest their souls.
Right.
I do see they left a lot to my grandmothers, but I also see the damage that they caused too.
Right.
So it's a give and take. You know what I mean? Like they set them up with a certain lifestyle, but yet it kind of fucked up other shit too. Excuse my French, but I'm just keeping it 100. Like that's just what it is.
You know, it's funny. We did say a curse the whole time, but you said something to bless the world. Thank you.
You asked me a G question. I got to keep it G. Like I can't. No way for me to flex.
We almost made it, man. We almost made it. But listen, conversation with King. So we can all agree that marriage is a business. You're absolutely right, Lover Boy.
Sure is.
Check this out. Breathing room. If you don't want to ruin a marriage, I think you should give your spouse breathing room. Stop being on their neck about what they spend, how they spend it. I think that's one of the biggest issues that people have with marriages, right? The freedom to do what they want to do without being persecuted, right? Your job, you start hating your job when it becomes less fun. And you start hating your marriage when it's less fun. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens. And it becomes less fun when you start thinking about money. I mean, it really becomes fun when you stop thinking about money. I didn't say stop making money, but thinking about money on a consistent basis, right? Okay. People don't want to get married. They just don't want to be alone. People don't want to get married. They want to be alone. And I'm starting to see this more and more often. And I'm really, it gets me sick, right? Because if money is strong enough to mess up a relationship, then you should never even think about marriage or love. Actually love, because marriage is a business. You don't love that person. Tell that person you just want to get married. You don't love that person. Some people only use love because they know if they don't use love, they cannot get the person that they really wanted. Because if it was a marriage situation based on assets and liabilities, based on score sheets, based on a cost analysis, then that person shouldn't be with you. But love provides the equals the playing field. Love is a tool that a poor person uses to gain socioeconomic mobility when they're not supposed to be in that level of stratification. Let me get open on this because I think I need to break this down because a lot of people get it twisted. Traditionally, Africans don't look at love. Marriage was a social economic tool for stratification.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with love. The whole love and romantic thing is a Western European concept.
Facts and facts.
Let me just make that very clear. So when someone talks about marriage saying, I can't be with you unless I love you, then you're not really African. You're not Black. Because that's not how.
Okay, Joe Biden.
You're not, because that's not how historically we're supposed to think.
Yeah.
That whole love concept, once again, is for a poor person, whether a man or a woman, to justify why you should marry them because they know they don't fit into your lifestyle or your generational wealth. Do I see anything wrong with that? No. I don't, because I want to love, but I know it's not the same thing. But when I see someone trying to use that as leverage, then I'm going to be very eyeful and I'm going to watch you a little bit harder because you don't want to do the cost analysis, right? Mm-hmm. I wrote something. It's funny today. You know how you do the little Facebook thing and it pops up about something that you wrote like 5 years ago.
Yeah. I always put like still,
And
I still feel this way or whatever.
Yeah, and I put same energy, kind of the same thing, right? So it popped up for me today, and this is what I said. January 10th, 2018. This is what I exactly said. Shout out to Red Pill Hustle. I will never be apologetic for loving myself and being confident. Like I said before, and I will stand on it. If you don't work with me, eventually you will work for me. If you don't celebrate me or anyone like me, then you're not happy with yourself. And if you think that I'm talking about you, then I am. Because at the end of the day, I don't have issues. I wake up every morning and God tells me he has a plan for me and is preparing me to be great. By the way, I talk about family all day because I come from a 2-parent household, married for over 40 years, and I haven't found anyone qualified to carry my legacy. We don't do settling over here. Check my resume. They may have my heart, but not worthy of my last name. You may have my heart, but you would never be worthy of my last name. So this is what you have to understand. I've been like this. I don't think love and marriage is the same. And you're not going to trick me into thinking I need to be with you because I love you. It has to make sense on paper.
Yes.
And I'm never going to keep that secret from someone. It has to make sense on paper. Because if it doesn't make sense on paper, then you cannot enter into my family. Because if we do a cost analysis, a lot of women I shouldn't have been dating back in the days. And there's some women that I should have been dating, but I didn't love them. I'm getting to that age where, you know what, I'm going to have to make the best decision for my legacy because I don't have the luxury to be in love anymore.
So you're saying that if you can, it's an added bonus, but it's not going to be the sole decision for picking a partner. And I agree. I don't think that love should be a cornerstone. Absolutely. 1,000%. 1,000%. Okay. Because if I can trust you and you're loyal and we align and you do the things that you say you're going to do and you have that foundation, I'm going to love you. Because why would you not love a person that is doing those things for you?
Right.
I'd much rather be compatible. I'd much rather be financially compatible than to be like, oh, I am so in love with you. My heart beats 10,000 times when I see you. You make other things happen. Like it's too much. And I think that that's the way that we do things. And I feel like when you don't marry for that reason, then that's when people tell you settle. Oh, you don't have butterflies when you see him. Oh, you settle. Like it's dumb.
And good. I want them to think that because I could care less. Like at the end of the day, most of successful marriages, they're open relationships. Don't let no one fool you.
Oh shit.
Now we're getting on. Now that's going to be a whole nother topic about the myth of monogamy.
Like if you think you and your partner are going to have sex with each other for 20, 40 years straight, good luck.
Maybe 20. Maybe you can get a good 20. Maybe a good 10, 15.
You definitely get a good 20.
What the hell?
You definitely get and that's
M3, what's good, baby?
What's up, M3? Talk to me, baby. What's up?
What's up? Conversations with King. King from Unlevel Approach, Mr. Best in the World.
Yes, sir.
How's your spirits doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you, man? Thanks for the donation. I appreciate super chat it up. Thank you.
Hey, anytime you support me, I'm always supporting you as well too. I'm loving the platform too.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. What I'm gonna say is this: like, when it comes to like just marriage and and partnership, like, you know, it's not about the one that you want, but it's always the one that you need. You know what I mean? And if that person, like you mentioned, King, like you something about like, okay, if it doesn't align on paper, I mean, it could mean on many terms, but for me, I look at it like, okay, if it doesn't make sense to my life and well-being, then I could be in love with you all I want to, but if you don't really properly align with me, that love is not going to last. Because I look at love as like an emotional feeling, but the true love, you know, is like when you going through the rings of fire, you're still like able to align with each other and hold each other down. and that person's helping you to grow as much as you helping that person to grow.
Right, and MD, I agree with you. That's why I'm torn, because I believe in legacy, but I also believe the power of the omnipotence of love. Right, I believe it's all powerful. I believe that it can conquer all, but I just think people weaponize love.
But what you're speaking of, is that love, or is that respect, or is that empathy? Is that loyalty? Like, I think those are pillars of love, but I also think that love comes and goes. And when we talk about love, a lot of times we're not talking about the unconditional agape version of love. We're talking about eros. We're talking about erotic love.
Yes,
So
right.
I think that you have to differentiate, because I think that like unconditional love, then yes. But I also think it probably is a little bit harder to get to a point where you love your spouse unconditionally. I don't think it happens overnight. I think love grows. And I think most people who marry are not at the pinnacle of the amount of love that they're going to feel for that person. That takes an extremely long amount of time to build.
Right. Well, I want to say this, Mo, you're right. I think love and attraction does matter in marriage. I can't marry anybody, right? I don't care how much you add to my family's legacy, unless you're like super up, you gotta look good, right? I believe, just like Kim says, if you look good and we have that mutual respect and that trust, I'm gonna end up loving you. I'm gonna end up loving you, right? Right? Because I'm gonna love the way you love yourself, right? I'm gonna love that. But I don't need to feel butterflies to know who's gonna be a good mother for my child.
Exactly.
I don't need to feel butterflies in my stomach to know who I can trust with my money, with my eyes closed, right? I don't need to feel butterflies to see that if I get this house with this person, she's industrious enough to make sure that we don't lose if I become sick. It's not the butterflies in your stomach, right? For me, because that butterfly in my stomach, that the girls like that, I felt they couldn't even help themselves sometimes. You feel me? And so what happens is I'm looking for. I'm personally, she has to be attractive. I'm telling you now, if I don't marry the special lady I'm with now, or I think I'm with now, then I'm gonna be that dude that I'm gonna be a playboy and just I'm going because
you going buck wild out here.
It's not that, but it's like if I don't, because I'm saying I want to be a husband. I want to be a husband. So if I don't marry somebody when I want to be a husband, then I'm not gonna be with anybody.
I said that's not bad. I mean,
right now I want to be a husband. I want to be a husband. I want to say, whoever feels that thing, I want to be a husband. I want to be there for you. I want to give, right? But you got at least like love yourself. Like be the best you for me. So it's easier for me to love you because I'm in for the long haul. But a lot of women they're not doing that now, man. They believe that you weaponize love. If you love me, then you accept it. Nah, that's not it. You feel me? And love is not about acceptance. Love is about growth. You feel me? It's about growth. It's about growth. If it's not growing, it's not building. It's not love. It's bondage. If you're not growing, you're not building. You're not in love. You're holding that person back.
Yeah.
And why would I do that? Why do I have to conform to what you want? Why can't we make a higher goal and work towards that? You don't have to conform to what I want either. But tell me a better goal. Tell me a better goal that we could both aspire to. Because I don't want to be in bondage. I really want to grow and build. Because every day you're not going to be the same person when you wake up. But I want you to know I'm going to be there to grow with you. That's what love is. It's saying I'm willing to grow with you.
Well, for me, it has to be. Listen, I gotta have everything. There's gotta be somebody I want, somebody I need. I gotta have everything. You know what I mean? Because we talking about forever. So if I'm talking about forever, then I'm gonna have to have everything. We talking about forever. Now we talking about somebody I'm just gonna chill with for here and there, or somebody that I might be with, or if I know we gonna rock with each other maybe for a few months, maybe a year, then whatever. I'm not gonna really take it as seriously. I'm not gonna really have the same motivation or same drive as for marriage. But if you're talking about marriage, we're talking about something serious, and yeah, it's got to be everything. It's got to be everything because I'm all right. I'm giving you my money, my resources, my family name, my possibly kids, all these things. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna get to be my mama. Like it's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff that's gonna be happening. You know what I mean? You get to go to grandma's house. Like there's so much stuff happening. Like I just can't just be like it's got to be everything. It's got to be everything for me. Everything got to line up. And maybe for some, maybe people may feel like at times that may be like a high expectation, but to me getting married is a high expectation for one. Like I'm getting married. Like it's not like I'm just dating you. It's not like we're just boyfriend and girlfriend. Like I'm telling you, like, yo, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. Like that's what I'm essentially saying. So if it's that, then everything got to line up for me. Everything got to line up. But if it don't all line up, then I'm cool. I'm just cool, and I'm just gonna do what I'm doing and just relax. You know what I mean? Like that's my view on it.
Right.
Yeah. There's one thing that when I hear the word like unconditional love, to be honest with you, I have a problem articulating that because I don't know what unconditional love is. Like when I look at love just like anything. Anything has conditions. You want the person to meet at least the minimum requirement of their attraction. And that doesn't have to always be about looks, but what can this person bring value into your world? Mm-hmm. How can you probably align with this person so that you guys could grow together? You could just wake up in the morning and you could be like, man, I'm thankful, to have a wife like her. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. When I hear this unconditional love stuff, I'm like, what does that really mean? Mm-hmm. So I get lost when I hear that part.
I mean, I to kind of go back to my point, because of what it is, I think it is somewhat difficult to have in a relationship or a marriage because unconditional love is love without conditions. So I'm going to love you and it doesn't matter what happens and what you do. And a lot of times in a marriage, that is dangerous to love that person. It doesn't matter what they do, you're still going to be there. You know what I mean? So that's kind of something I'm trying to kind of figure out and weed through and kind of get an understanding for. I see more so of an example of unconditional love when it comes to like parent and child, but even that has its limits and its lines as well, right? So in my opinion, I think that's the closest that you can get. I definitely do think that by and large relationships are conditional and they are transactional to a higher extent if we're talking about love in a relationship. So
all right, let's move on to the next. Come up with a system like CPUs. Come up with a system like CPUs. Are anybody familiar with CPUs?
Was that cost per unit?
Yeah, kinda. You could say that. Come up with a system. How do you gather that? Cost per use, not unit, but same thing. Cost per use.
I mean, I think that's a little bit overly technical. And for some people, if their brains work in that way, that will be completely fine. I work more so like, what is our goal at the end of the year? How much do we want to save? I reverse engineer and I make sure each month I'm putting that money aside, and that's just it. That could work. It just wouldn't work for me. It's a little too technical. Like that part of budgeting would take the fun away from me.
Okay. Fellas, how you feel about having a system?
I mean, you gotta have a system, like, because if you don't have a system, then things will get out of control. You know what I mean? Like, when I like in the last place that I was, one of the last places that I had before I moved into my new spot, I would just have everything kind of just lined up. This spot, everything's more all-inclusive, so I don't have to have everything lined up as much as I would have to. But in my last spot, I had to have everything lined up and budgeted based on, time, dates, and just, basically when I knew things were gonna come out and be paid. You know what I mean? So, it also depends on where you live. So I have to, gather that in a factor. So your budget's gonna look different from mine if you live in a different state. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna look the same. Plus, if our incomes or our career is different, it's gonna look different as well. But you definitely want to have a system. And the thing is, I feel like as a man, you have to make sure that the finances are a certain way in the house. You know what I mean? And because you're supposed to create structure. At least that's in my opinion. People can do whatever they want, which they probably will anyway. But I feel like the man should make sure that the finances are a certain way. We should make sure it's structured. We should make the bills are paid a certain way. And we should make sure our savings are a certain way as well, or at least try to maintain the savings as much as we can. You know what I mean? So, and then also you want to have a spending where you're able to spend on things that you actually want to buy. You know what I mean? Like, if it's like, okay, oh, I want to buy this watch, or I want to buy this cologne, or hey, these sneakers are coming out, or whatever. Right. You can have money set aside for that, but then also making sure that your necessities, like your water bill, your light bills, your phone bill, all those things are already taken care of before you make a move on anything.
Right.
And then sometimes you got to put money away so you can get something later.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, I'm going to put money away. I'm going to eventually get this. You know what I mean? That's why they have they have that little add to cart thing. When you're shopping online, you can add it to cart and you can wait till it's your turn. So when you have your money, set up aside where you can actually buy that. Right. I mean, there's no shame in you saving up for something. That just means that you're smart. You know what I mean? And that you're not blowing money on frivolous items that, have no value, once you buy it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that, because I was the type of dude who, I used to be around girls that they were like, what are you doing? Like, right? Just get it. If you got it, get it. Then I realized as I got older, women actually like when you have money, but you don't spend it. They love that. They love oh, he got it, so it's my job to get it from him. And they love the challenge. They love, I never understood how this dude, I don't talk to him anymore. He had so much bread, a banker, and girls used to deal with him because he could take them out to dinner and stuff like that. And I do the same thing, but I would take them shopping. But they would mess with him because in their mind, he got it. I just don't know why he won't give it to me. Right? So what I learned is for men, his advice, get your bread up. Women know who has it and they know who don't. Sometimes they don't, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of people getting away with murder here. But when they know you have it, don't give it to them too easily. Don't give it to them because it's like they love the challenge. That's just me. Men, be shrewd with your money. Be shrewd, because if they know you have it, because the woman could tell you because they know how you live it. If you're living good, you got the nice place, you own stuff, you respect it, they're gonna play around with you a little bit longer. But when you give it, it's a sense of it's a sense like I can get him to do anything I want him to do. Fuck it.
Who are you dealing with? Like
in my past, not now. I'm doing somebody good now, but in the past,
yeah.
In my past, I just felt like they respected the men that had the money, but didn't just do whatever they told them to do.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. When you were telling men to be, pretty prudent with their money,
look,
are you meaning it is? Are you meaning in providing an experience, like a date, or are you talking about just giving them money, putting money in their hand?
I mean, the banker dude would take them out to nice places, they get that experience. But the street dude, we give them that experience and we buy a bag of this and we do this, and they didn't respect that. They thought that we weren't smart with our money, so that we spend money, right? But the guy that was a little bit shrewd or economical, that's the one they would want to be with, because he's protected his money. But I'm gonna have with this dude, this fun with this dude. He's gonna fly me and my girls to Miami, and I'm really not gonna respect him like that. But the guy that's like, no, I'm not flying you anywhere. If you want to be with me, you guys show me that you can hang with me.
Okay, so they were accepting the challenge.
Yes, that's what I saw.
You mind if I add on to that, King?
Yeah, of course.
And then also, a really good high attraction is when a woman knows that a man knows how to invest his money properly.
Absolutely.
To make it grow.
Absolutely.
That's gonna get their heart pumping for sure.
Right.
Yes, they enjoy the experience, but they also enjoy a man that knows how to manage his money properly to where he can make it passively too.
Yeah, but you know what, too? I ain't gonna front. M3, I love that. But one of the things that hurt me is when you tell a woman how you get money and how you invest your money,
yeah,
and they're not really listening. They're not asking critical questions, or when you ask them questions about what you just told them, they don't have an answer, and that's a turnoff.
Well, that means she's not listening and she's not into it.
She's not into it, but then don't be into my money.
But I get what you're saying, like how that could hurt, because
that's
something, because we like to invest in the people that we want to bring into our inner circle. And so when that's like a letdown, then you already foresee that, look, okay, this person's not for me. In the future, that is. Maybe short term in relationships, it's okay. But for a wifey material, like, I need somebody that's going to be aligned in the same mindset, like-minded.
That's a fact. I know.
Well,
go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, like, if you are telling her and you're giving her insight on how to invest in different things like that, doesn't mean that she doesn't want to listen if that's not her brand of investing, or that's not the way that she wants to do it. Like, do you want her just to be into what you're talking about because it's an interest of yours, or do you want her to be into it because you want her to do that same thing? Because that could be a little unfair. I mean, to the point that I said earlier, maybe I'm not into actually buying real estate.
Right.
Maybe I want to buy real estate stock. But if you're talking to me about your real estate, I'm going to listen and support you and be like, "Ooh, babe, that's great." But like, don't be let down if that's not where my passion is and that's not what I want to do.
Yeah, but we can't be together then, because what happens is, if that's real estate, how I make money to provide for our family, you need to know that, because like I said, the woman is the first teacher.
So you mean from like a legacy standpoint?
Standpoint, you need to know that.
Okay.
You know how many girls? Let me tell you something. Y'all know I've been posting this young lady a lot on my IG. The only reason why I feel confident about her, just a little bit confident about her, right, is because she did something that no other woman did. Maybe one other woman did it. And I don't think she did. I tell a woman to get 2 books. My book and this book.
Okay.
My book is about love and romance and travel. This is what this book is about. I want to love you. I want to show you the world. I want to make love to you in every continent, except for Antarctica, because you really can't go there. I want to make love to you every continent. This book is about generational wealth and using money and financial tools to teach values to your children. James Hughes, he's a real and trust lawyer. It's a beautifully written book. I swear, please, you will love this book. And I don't get money for this. I'm telling you to get this book. She got the book. That's when I knew I could be a husband. She unlocked the door. She unlocked the door that no one unlocked, which was, I want to know what you want from a family or out of a family. And when she did that, she doesn't even realize, unless she's watching this, I hope not, because I'm kind of mad at her right now. But she unlocked the portion of me that says, you know what? I'm going to make a covenant with her. She doesn't even know, which is, I'm gonna be the man she wants until she says I can't do that anymore. It's very important for me that you learn about certain things that I'm doing, because who's going to teach my child this?
You can't teach your child?
I mean, who's going to teach my child when I'm not around? The mother's the first teacher.
Agreed, but I think I'm speaking in terms of like very specific interests versus like general. Like, if generational wealth is important, then yes, I think your spouse should know about it. Even if they didn't come from it, they should be able to teach your children. But I'm just talking about like on an individual basis, do both people within the partnership have to have the exact same kind of interest? Now, if you say this is a family business, I want this to be legacy enhancing, then yeah, if you have a real estate company, I need to get a real estate license, right? But then does that also mean, though, that that's the only thing that I do? So
no, it's not the only thing that you do. It's not. You don't stop your world for mine.
Okay, but just be able to be ingrained and know about your world. See,
be very versed in what we do, because it is the family business, right?
Right. I like that. I can dig that. That makes perfect sense.
I want you to keep your independence. Like if she wants to do something, she should suggest what I should read so I could be versed in it.
Okay, so you do the same thing for her. It's not just that she's doing it for you, because
right. That's not like that. You feel me?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, you just at least want to have like an understanding of what your partner understands. Nobody don't have to be perfect. Like, you don't have to like know something right off the bat, but if something's presented to you, take the time to kind of learn what your partner is learning, and that should be vice versa. As long as you put like at least like an effort into trying to understand, I think that's where King is coming from.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Remember the remember the golden rule, number 9, and that's dealing with treating people like you want them to treat you, or treating people money like you want them to treat your money. Do you think as in marriage people don't do that?
No.
Damn.
No.
Why?
Because it's this whole, what's yours is mine, what's mine is yours kind of thing. But I think that people...
Wait, hold on. No. I thought it was when women say what's mine is mine and what's yours
is ours.
That's what it is, right?
I mean, it depends on the person. But I think what people do when they have access to resources that they didn't work for, or resources that they don't understand, they're not going to treat that money like they treat their own money if they work for it. And so that could possibly be why sometimes men hold the purse strings a little bit tight, because they see that behavior in women. But then my thought is just pick different women. You don't do that. So then you don't have to have that anxiety, and you don't have to have that, I'm not going to tell you how much I make. I'm not going to put you on my credit card. I'm not going to do all this. Just marry somebody who either comes from affluence like you, or if you built your affluence, find somebody that built hers or that understands it. Because sometimes when you're not used to stuff, you will treat somebody else's resources a way that you wouldn't treat your own.
Okay. Last one. Call for reinforcements. So how does that work? Call for reinforcements. They talking about financial planners, accountants. Call for people that, that outside of the relationship that can help you. Don't be afraid to do that, and within a marriage. But how do you feel about that?
So basically, you mean like just like calling for somebody that has more of an understanding of set up your financial success.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely not a problem. You want to be surrounded by people, right, that has like at least the similar knowledge or even more that can help you to your financial success. Because sometimes we're used to doing things on our own on a certain type of structure, but every now and then you're going to have to update your structure. You're going to have to switch up some things. And so if somebody could see that, hey, I like the way how you're planning, but I have something that could make you be better at your planning. So then that way you could invest more, grow more in finances, and have less stress in your marriages. So yeah, I believe in that.
Okay. Kim?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to have a subject matter expert. I think a lot of people who grow in affluence and wealth are ones who have that network of people who are wealthy. And then they do have that help. They have those experts that can kind of help them. And some people do it themselves. It just depends. But I don't think there's anything wrong with calling in reinforcement. And reinforcement can even be having a network of couples that have similar ideals as far as spending and goal setting is concerned. And you guys kind of all sitting around and kind of, sharing knowledge and kind of doing something similar to what we're doing right now. I think sometimes in a marriage, we're so cautious of like not telling people our business to where there might be some support that we need and we don't get it because we don't want to let other people in.
Right. And I think that's keep everything private. Like everything is good and it's not good. Right. I like Tristan. I'm saying this to every woman I talked to who said I was crazy when I was saying this. I'm not crazy at all, brother. With that being said, we're gonna have our closing words. This is a short show today. I just want to make sure that this page is not always about drama. We're gonna get informed. This channel is always not about always causing issues between the man and the woman, the red pill, the green pill, whatever pill you're doing. We don't care. We just want to get the truth out and information out. So closing words, I want to say one thing. Women are not capable of loving men without money. Fellas, remember that. Remember that. Women are not capable of loving without money. There's nothing wrong with that either. I want you to remember that. And the more you remember that, the better you'll be. Because you have to have money if you're trying to marry a woman and have a family with them. They're not, I repeat, they're not going to love you correctly. Thank you, Square Biz. Thank you, Red Pill Hustle. I appreciate y'all. They're not going to love you correctly at all if you don't have money. It leads to problems. So if you broke, tell them. You never know. She might want to help you, lift you up. Like I said, anytime anybody that loves you is going to lift you up and empower you. Then you got someone who's like, I'm not lifting you up because they can't even lift themselves up. Any woman that can lift themselves up and they find a man that they love, no, that's a Western European concept. They're going to lift you up. Even if she doesn't love you, but she feels that you have great genes for her children, she's going to lift you up. The only reason why she doesn't want to lift you up because she can't lift up herself or she's too selfish to do it for you. This is the honest truth. Anybody that has money, for example, I told somebody this a long time ago. If my daughter was at school and she met a man that didn't have any money, and he came to my house, and I would never tell him, you can never date my daughter. I would say, come and work for me. It's a different type of language that I speak than compared to everybody else. I'm different. Like, I'm not gonna play him because he's not adequate or qualified for my daughter. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my resources to make him qualified. And then when he shows that he doesn't want to be qualified under my tutelage, then he can't be around my daughter. Woman, this is why Kim is right. We don't have structure in our community. Because if we did, we wouldn't be wanting men to come perfect. Because if we did, we have families and fathers who own businesses that could make sure these men have jobs that are not so perfect. We don't have structure in our community. These other communities, if they know that their daughter wants to marry this guy, they're gonna put all their resources together to make sure they get a house and start off right. We don't do that. But we want our men to come right. We want these young men to come right. These young men are being failed because these women are killing them in every category because women are taught not to depend on us. And we have no one empowering young men to get their stuff together. Women are just quick to criticize and complain. You don't got it. You're not there yet. Get your stuff together. Cool. So while I get myself together, I want you to enjoy singledom. I want you to enjoy lonely times with your cats and your dogs. That's why I want you to enjoy it, because what happens is we have to help each other. That's the only way we're going to get out this whole situation. Whether you love somebody, whether you want to make some money with somebody, it requires trust, period. It requires unity. We have to help each other, or we're never going to be right. So once again, men, get your money together if you're considering a woman, and woman, get your stuff together if you're considering a man. Because he might need your help to be the man that he needs to be. And men, she might need your help to be the woman she deserves to be. And with that being said, M3, we're going to let Kim end it off because save the best for last. All right. What do you think, M3?
Yeah, you definitely want to have trust into the relationship. And I think that was the part I forgot to even mention. Trust and communication is definitely key when it comes to building your financial success. So that way you and your spouse will have an understanding of how to manage and budget your finances so no one gets blindsided when money gets spent or when things turn out to just unexpected events that happens. You'll be prepared, you'll have a system that is probably operated, and then you'll be good.
Okay. Kim?
Okay, so this has been a wonderful topic. And to kind of do a call out, is money the root of all breakups? No, not having money is the root of all breakups. No, I'm joking.
No, you're not.
I'm not going to troll y'all. No, honestly, for real. We've also been talking lately about building, right? And I'm not against building. I don't think building is wrong, but where I think we could possibly be off base with building is not having it met with like reciprocity and like equal intention. If we're building, we both have to be on the side in sound mind of understanding that we both are trying to build. It can't be me building you and you building me. It's got to be we are either building each other, we're building ourselves. It has to be congruent. It's got to have like a similar trajectory. It could be very tricky to line that up, but I think that like when building, that's like the best thing to do. Finances are absolutely important in a relationship, but what I think is more telling about the finances are the values, because where we put our money is where we have our values. So let's explore that value system a little bit, and then we can kind of work backwards to figure out the finances. I think it can be done. I think that people don't have to go into a relationship being financially perfect, but I do think that they need to be aware of some past trauma, some past things that they have surrounding money, and just be open to working with someone and be open to building whatever kind of legacy they both decide. You guys are definitely seeing my coaching side. I am a coach. I'm a career coach and a life coach. So definitely please go to my website. It's KimberlyMiddlebrooks.com. I actually just opened my books, so I am taking clients.
Yes.
I just want to talk. Definitely reach out to me. And you can go to my website and just kind of find out more about what it is that I do. I'm also upleveled_approach on Instagram as well. So thank you, y'all. It's been fun.
And I want to let y'all know something about Kim. The reason I've been having her up here lately because I wanted you to know she is a career and life coach, and she's really good at what she does. So I wanted you to have one. We talked about relationships last time. Now we talked about finances. So you see how good she is. So we're not having people here that's not qualified. She's qualified. So please go and follow her page. Go and support her. Be one of her clients, and she's not cheap. The coins, you need them coins, but it's worth it. Trust me, it's worth it. And with that being said, thank you so much. And go and follow. We're going to empty. When's your show? When's your next show?
Next show starts like within 10 minutes, 7
Perfect.
o'clock.
Perfect timing. Look, perfect timing. So we're going. Everybody here is going to go over there. Please, he's going to continue. What's the subject matter?
Subject matter is the power of Black men when they are unified.
Perfect. So this is what's happening. So we're going to go to that page next, and we ended it on time. So we're going to go and support Knowledge and Relationships page. So thank you so much for coming up. And until next time, I'll see you tomorrow, Queen's Court at 9 o'clock. So be there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys as well. All right. See you soon.
Peace, y'all.